Okay, let's begin the stream. All right, as per usual, just let me get out some links, post it out, send stuff on the Twitter, and see who exactly wants to come hang out this week. We got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, but also not just manga and stuff. We've got some fun stuff coming on later tonight. Anyone that's going to be watching Game of Thrones tonight, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be really exciting. What's up, JK Network? How's it going? Like I said, just give me a second to tweet out what's going on and post a couple links, and we can start getting towards the conversations today, and you know, just see what people got to bring to the table, what questions for different series people have, and what we could recommend. I definitely want to start doing that. I haven't been doing as much as I wanted to. And just kind of like I said, bring up series that I think deserve more attention, that I think you guys would like. That I've been really having fun with. I actually just finished reading all of the other Shonen Jump chapters that came out. I actually really liked like Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen was great. I don't think any of them were really that boring. But if anyone's read the last Sayuki, the last chapter that came out today was really good. And actually now I think I'm invested in this series after that. It was definitely really interesting. What's up, Elric Yuka? How's it going? Zach Stevens, Nero's not either a devil. Lick's other half or the first Wizard King. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are thinking. I'm wondering, like, what if he's maybe someone older, like a character existing long before. What's up, Enemy Vortex? It's crazy how the devil easily almost defeated Lick last chapter. Yeah, dude's OP, and he's not. It's not even in his. I mean, it's obviously half awakened Lick, but this guy's also not in his true form either. So, given hype all over the place. 1 second, let me tweet out the stream really quick. One second. All right, there we go. Tweeted out the stream. Everything hopefully goes well. People come by, hang out. Definitely will have, you know, fun. Got a lot of new subscribers this week from that Black Clover review. It did a lot better than I thought it would, and I'm hoping we can get some more Black Clover fans in here to come chat about all the contents for this last chapter, because the last chapter legitimately was very exciting on so many levels. And it's not only that, there's so many more theories coming out every week. They're just sprung up all over the place. Though they didn't use the Grimoire, yeah. I'm actually really curious if it's going to stay as a... when he gets his powers back, is that just going to be part of him? Or is that just kind of like a sacrifice, like kind of like sacrificial thing he's going to need in order to get his new body, and then maybe that will morph into his Grimoire? Because we don't know exactly if he'll keep it or he just needs it to get his full powers. Like maybe he needs his own Grimoire, or he'll use it to turn into maybe his own version. Maybe demons don't use Grimoires, they have their own kind of magic conduit. I knew something was strange about that bird. Yeah, Nero's always been a really curious case. Since the beginning, he's always give off a little bit of a suspicious vibe. I did a video I'm going to put out probably after this, after I finish recording all of my my Shonen Jump chapter reviews. But he's definitely, I think the biggest time where it was like very, very, very curious of him is when he was noted from the Witch Queen. I mean, clearly then he was something significant at that point. What's up, Multi Hussein 2000? How's it going? This villain arc is moving fast. Shirogeki killed 2 guys once. I think it was 3 guys, but yeah, I'm actually really liking what they're doing. And I think they're being smart, even if because they set it up in the whole thing. Obviously, like after the 3 hours, Giganto comes back, and it's gonna be I think really fun. I liked how that was built up and foreshadowed. So probably during this arc, when things are starting to look a little south for the League of Villains, that's probably when the timer is gonna go up and Giganto is gonna show up and smash everybody. So it's not gonna feel like out of nowhere, like some bullshit where it's like, okay, now he's conveniently here. Like they're clearly timing it specifically. So it was good on Horikoshi to kind of like lay that out in the format he did. That was smart of him. So what are the chances of Yami, Elf, Charlotte, and Licht getting wrecked next chapter? Decently, but I think that the whole thing is a lot of the fights were set up, and it does feel like the end of the arc. So I think a lot of the, like, Vito and Marileona, you have the elf that took over Kaiser, and Foigoleon, you know, everybody that's that otherwise is battling somewhere. I think that they're going to pretty much kind of do like what Elf Charlotte did, and, you know, put all their stuff aside to realize that the demon is really the big threat right now. And I mean, really, like I said, there's a lot of start, I think, towards there's a lot of start towards the humans and the elves needing to band together and kind of, you know, unite. And the fact that all of their turmoil between the two sides really wasn't on either of them, it was actually on this demon. So it's really a good kind of turning point to get them, and hopefully eventually get their, you know, their races to kind of come together and really get over all the past, since neither of them will really kind of hold the blame. Because for a while it just felt like both of them had their own kind of like both aggressor and victim status from them, you know, just depending on what different areas were covered. But it's obviously now all because of the demons, so they hopefully can and not stop blaming each other, you know. Let's see. Anyone by the name of Nero I don't trust with Mile Long Pole. Well, Nero, I only know the Finnish translation of Nero means genius. I don't know if there's any other translations that maybe it's secretly been pushing towards. Bad Touch Man is OP. Yeah, he's pretty strong. He's OP. I feel like there should be... I feel like what Horikoshi should do is have it so, like, what his quirk does depends on how many fingers he's touching you with. Like, maybe, like, one finger does something and then it takes, like, all 10 and that's what decays. Just so he has, like, a higher level of versatility with this quirk. But I'm also hoping there's, like, a secondary side to it. Like, there's a character from Medica Box, and she had a similar power, but it could go both ways after she found out. So it could both kind of, like, decay and destroy stuff, but also kind of create life. And I think there was a dude in Heroes that did that as well. And I think that'd be kind of cool, because I talked about it a little bit, just kind of touching up on it in the last stream, that the thing that I think we'll really need for old Shiggy to really kind of cement as the future big villain, like, because it's going to be hard for him to place All For One, because the thing about All For One that I think really kind of gives him a good spot as the big villain in My Hero Academia is the fact he kind of has an almost religious aspect to him, and like a really good leader aspect, and not just because that he's powerful, but that he can take and give people quirks. And you got to have something for Bad Touch in order for him to really kind of... You can't just have him like, well, I'm in charge now, and have everyone follow him, because it's not just the fact, again, that All For One is powerful, it's also kind of what he represents. And if you give something for Bad Touch, like if you can instant heal people or something that really kind of like gives him more of to look at other than just being powerful for the villains. You know what I mean? He's got to have more to him than just that, which I'm hoping for. And, you know, give him another side to this quirk. Because I think it was the doctor guy who said something specific, you know, so there was something special about his quirk anyway that had never been seen before. So there's obviously like maybe like a mutation to it and special aspects that you'll see. People are enjoying Black Clover more and more. Yeah, it's been picking up. Been really happy about that. Been really enjoying the Black Clover hype train. And then the animation actually has been getting a lot better consistently with the anime. There's obviously still kind of wonky scenes, but it's definitely looking more well done, more kind of enjoyable as it goes, instead of just like that embarrassment that it's had at some points. And then it, like, during that water temple, a lot of the animation was like, oh god, they can't believe that they're doing this to Black Clover. And then they had like the whole part at the end where the Asta went to go against Vito, and it was just like so awesome, like layered over the music. It just looks so good. Favorite bird in anime and manga besides bird specifically? What about the lolly bird from Shield Hero? I mean, you got to put me on a spot. It's a little awkward. I'm sure there are more birds, but I'm like trying to think off the top of my head. I can, like, for some reason, I like how the first two I thought of was the bird from Shield Hero and the bird from Monster Musume, two lolly birds. You know, sweat drop. It wasn't me, but God, you're putting me on the spot. I'm just trying to think of birds now. All I can think of are these ones. I think I can't remember the manga. But there was a chick who she was a phoenix. I don't remember what it was called. I have it saved on my tablet, but I haven't touched my tablet in like 2 years, so I don't really know where it is. 1 second. Oh god, I'm trying my best not to get behind on this stream like I did last time. Nero equal. Yeah, I already saw that. Oh, your birthday's coming in a few days. Oh, well, happy pre-birthday, Jared Punch. Hope it goes good for you. Oh, you think the scientists working with Hermit used the accelerator to hurt machines? I think it was probably something to do maybe with like war or maybe like some form of like big factory where maybe it like really just kind of like makes things shittier. It's got to be something very kind of dark and negative, because it was the fact that the Mishima like clearly had what's her name, Zhao Mei, go over how this arc was going to be a bit cruel and sadistic. I think it would be a good follow-up for her backstory to be just really depressing, especially the fact that she kind of like went into it very happy and very optimistic. And it'll just be kind of that like heart grip moment that's gonna hurt for him. Let's see. You don't need to really wait for him to wake up. You just needs to hit him to wake up. Oh, with Giganto, yeah. But I think the fact that they gave the exact time, was it 2 hours 36 minutes until he was gonna wake up. I think they're timing it specifically. I think they're using that part of their strategy, and not just like, I mean, unless they left someone behind to smack him and wake him up in case they need him. I think they're gonna stall it out and then maybe try and have that exact moment. So I think one of my friends told me that it's the way that they're doing it. It's a reference to something that happened in Marvel with the Hulk. I don't know which story. I didn't ask, but I guess they did something similar to the Hulk at one point. And I guess that makes sense. Obviously, Horikoshi reads a lot of comic books, so him knowing exactly a story to use for that really kind of lays out a lot of groundwork for. Yeah, I can see that, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a good idea. I feel like it's this, their trump card at the end. Well, it's really a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, because he'll go after him too, probably beat the shit out of him. What I'm kind of curious about is how has he not got a single like 5 fingers grab on Giganto in the last what was it, a month and a half, I think, because like what else does he really have to use to fight? Because I don't really remember anything from Bad Touch, like, combat-wise, other than that. Redestro is in way over his head. He has absolutely no idea about Giganto, so, I mean, that's fair for him. It's different if he knew. Like, if he was going after them while All for One was up, that'd be different. Like, but the fact that Giganto can just kind of steamroll through everybody there that we've seen, we don't know if they have some big shot in the back, too. Yeah, happy birthday to Jared Punch. Do you think that we'll get a flashback to the origin of Blue Garden, and that's why it's important? I don't know. I think Blue Garden is just a hub. Like, I don't remember. Has there been anything stated that makes the planet itself special? It just kind of seems like people built cities there, and it seems pretty. It reminds me of what is the planet in Star Wars that's just like a giant city planet? Is that Coruscant? Elric, you love Star Wars. This reminds me of that one where it's obviously a big deal, but it's just kind of like more of what it has become rather than what it was. I don't know if there's anything from it. Medica, from what I heard, is OP. Yeah, Medica. Well, Medica. The whole point of Medica is that she was a Mary Sue. It's like a Medica box is like a parody taken seriously. It's like a spoof, but it's given a serious tone to it. It's pretty fun though. It was definitely enjoyable. Some of the parts though is just like there's this whole part where they play this Japanese word game. And I feel like if you were Japanese, you'd get it. But like when I was reading it, I was like, I don't understand a single bit of this game or what they're doing. It's some weird kanji game or some shit. I have no idea. It's funny how Hermit and Pino both have opposite views of humans, despite being fucked over by them. Oh yeah, Pino just kind of like she seemed like some battered girl at the start. Well, battered girl bot, fembot. But now she's getting better. Hermit will hopefully kind of get cheered up over this. I mean, Shiki's a good character for all these people that either just don't like humans or have like very negative disposition of robots. Just kind of feels them as machines. I mean, it'd be different if it was like they were just a bunch of like walking around like plain old robots like what we have. But I mean, clearly they're intelligent and they're sentient. So I don't understand how some people can look at them like they're just scraps, like just walking machines, don't have anything to them. I mean, clearly they're sentient. They think. It's weird. Can you check Discord? You send me a message on Discord? Yeah, I'll check. But I'm trying to keep up with this. I'm trying to keep up with the disc or the stream chat. See, doesn't the Emperor Nero ring a bell? Was there an Emperor Nero? Is that from My Hime? I'm rewatching. I haven't watched it this week, but I'm almost halfway through the rewatch. I've just been busy this week. I've also been rewatching a lot of Bleach at the same time. So you think My Hero Academia arc will strictly be a villain? Yeah, I think this arc is going to be entirely villain-based. I don't think it's going to be as long as a normal arc, because a lot of the in-between arcs are usually like 10, 12 chapters. I mean, they're already like in the city and engaging. I mean, really, I just think it's going to be like a fight for each of the members of the League of Villains, and then probably like some big moment for Bad Touch, give him a big special kind of spotlight time, and hopefully move him forward as a character. So that'll be good for him. Looks like current backstory will be where we get sadism for it. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of unfortunate aspects in that for. Or if Nero is the first Wizard King and Asta is the first Wizard King's son. I don't know. I don't like the idea of Asta being anyone special or like destined or anything. I don't want him to be kind of almost feel like I guess it's really easier to say. I like how he's more of just some nobody that's been working really hard. I think that was kind of one of the things that made Naruto really cool. And even if he was the Hokage's son, it didn't really matter towards clearly what he was showing throughout the series. And then they made it so he's like, you know, the reincarnation of one of the sages. And I think that hurt. I think that hurt a lot of the overall story when you think back at it, where he was kind of destined to get there. I mean, there's a lot to it. I'm hoping that Asta really, if he's anyone special, I want it to be in a way that doesn't hurt the tone of the story and really kind of keeps that whole kind of like the failure who works really hard to keep up with the talented people tone to Black Clover, because that's one of the things I think is really enjoyable. I really like how Asta's hard work really made it so he's capable of doing anything, because even if he got the 5-leaf grimoire, if he wasn't physically strong and keeping up with trying to keep up with everyone, he wouldn't be as durable as he is. He wouldn't be as fast as just based off of physical stats and physically strong enough to even use the swords properly. And that's one of the things I think was really good about it when he got the swords, or it was interesting. And obviously there's going to be some more reasoning behind how he got them and why the grimoire came to him, but also the fact that he is only able to really even use them at that point if he because of all his hard work. Like, even if it was, imagine if he was built more like Yuno, where he tried to do just like magic stuff throughout the years, and he'd have a flimsy, limp body, and instead, he's got this toned physique because he's been working so hard. All that compensation really kind of helped him then. I thought that was cool. Disney characters and anime, anyone? I mean, that's pretty much Kingdom Hearts. I think Magic Stones might be at the Demon Skeleton. Yeah, that's where. Well, I think they took the thing with them. I don't know. I have to double check. I'd have to go read back some of the chapters. Claudius, Nero, Caesar, Augustus, Germanicus. I don't know what that be. Black Clover, how do you think that the Spade Kingdom will play into the story? There's a strong military force like the Diamond King, so I'm wondering if they're ruthless. I think each of the kingdoms will be different in the way they conduct themselves. And obviously the Spade, or the Diamond Kingdom, is clearly built on like weird resources. We'll probably get the Spades. Maybe they're on more like magic weaponry. Like maybe they'll have maybe like a magic equivalent to tanks or something, or maybe constructs. And then maybe the Heart Kingdom will be way more on like weird magic, or maybe they'll have more monsters in their control or something. Maybe they'll have lots of different like magic beasts. I'm definitely hoping each of them have their own kind of different tone to them that really helps them out. But there's also the theory that each of them is going to be like, each of them is going to have their own kind of like magic creature backstory, kind of like how there's the 5-leaf, or the Clover Kingdom based for, coming off the elves, and obviously the way that elves are, they're very nature in tune, with like plants and stuff. And that makes sense of why eventually the humans got grimoires and theirs are clovers. And you know what makes the Diamond Kingdoms different? Obviously, diamonds coming from the earth. You know, maybe that they're maybe that was where the dwarves used to live. You know, there's a lot to come out of it. Maybe the dwarves are still kind of up. They're just in hiding because they don't want to end up kind of like how the elves were. I don't know. There's a lot to theorize around that whole thing because we haven't seen a lot of the other kingdoms yet. What do you think Deku's next quirk is going to be? Oh, it depends because he got the mobile one. I don't like talking about it because, again, I don't like the idea of Deku having so many quirks. I think that is going to make him too OP, and it's going to hurt all the other characters. Because, like, one of the thing about Bakugo, that Bakugo was able to kind of, like, still compete, is he's mobile as hell, but now Deku is also going to be mobile as hell, and his mobility is going to also have a grab, and he's very powerful because, you know, the super strength quirk. But obviously he's close range. He's direct hand-to-hand combat, and not a lot of the characters in My Hero Academia are as close range as him. And so like he just had to cover that gap, and you know the other characters had to keep that gap open. But the second Deku gets in there, it could be the deciding moment. But now he can easily close in gap, and all he has to do is land that black whip and pull you in, and you know use a Detroit Smash. And a lot of the characters in My Hero Academia don't have that, you know, general physical boost. Like a lot of characters in other series, durability, depending on what your power is, or depending on really, let's just look at most battle series in general, durability just kind of comes with higher stats. It depends. Sometimes you'll get something like, you know, gloss over the fairy tale. Some people are more like old style caster magicians and wizards. You know, you'll have like summoner people. Summoners are obviously meant to take damage, so you know you get exceptions for stuff like that. But like not that many characters in My Hero Academia have the physical like constitution to take even like an 8% Detroit Smash from Deku. So like once he gets him in, like it's gonna knock him down and put him out. But I think maybe for the next quirk he'll have something like I'm hoping all of his will just be in ways that are complementary to All for One, or sorry, One for All. Like maybe he'll get one that's like he can see heat signatures or something that just kind of like helps him in a way. They're more utility rather than just all around like, okay, cool, I have this whole other super OP ability. That's one of the things I don't like about the Black Whip as well. It just feels too good tying into All for One, or One for All. I keep saying All for One. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe not Tabata, maybe Horikoshi's got a big plan and it'll make sense to him. Hey, what's up? What if Nero was the first Wizard King? How old do you think he would be? Well, he'd have to be, oh my god, what is it, 800 years? No, I think it's 500 years for Black Clover from the time of current to the, to when the whole debacle with the first Wizard King and the elves happened. Also, what's up, Hands of Justice? Are you new to the stream? How's it going? I don't know if you've been in the stream before, but these are mostly just like chit-chatting streams, you know, talk to the audience, swap questions, and see how everyone's doing. William's Grimoire is near the stones too. I thought he still is it? I figured it switched out whenever Elf. I'd have to double check. Maybe he dropped it and I didn't see it. I thought it was whenever William and Patri switched out. They're like Grimoires switched. Again, I had to double check. Maybe I'm forgetting. So Rax Zeldris is the strongest commandment, right? So if you didn't stop Meliodas' revenge counter when Estarossa did, Meliodas fought the commandments. Wait. So it was Estarossa did it because what was it? The reason his one, I think his is, I don't remember. I think his is love or something. And Estarossa's like, if you have hatred. Oh no, his is. No, I think that was it. And then if you have hatred towards him, then you can't damage him or something. I don't know. Seven Deadly Sins is inconsistent as hell with power levels. Don't even worry about that. I'm curious if this is actually the end, because now they're setting up for something else to happen they might need to fix. I don't know. I haven't seen spoilers for the next chapter yet. Asta and Deku are so similar, except Deku uses his abilities to try and analyze his opponents, and Asta training endlessly since childhood to keep his opponents. Well, the thing is that there's a lot of similarities between aspects in Black Clover and My Hero Academia, and I don't think people don't pay as much attention to the fact that Tabata and Horikoshi have been friends since I think high school. So I mean, willing to give the fact that the whole like layout for Asta and Deku and how their stories kind of start, and the fact they're similar, and you'll get similar parts like you'll get similar aspects, like things like Sally and Toga. You know, you have this crazy fucking bitch who has this obsession with X things. You know, you have Sally, who is obsessed with weird magics, and Toga, who's obsessed with like people who are like get beaten up and bloody and getting all damaged. I'm willing to think that they share stories and that, you know, they share ideas, and maybe, you know, they'll say like, let's both do this, and then, you know, do our own take on it. Because like there's the theory that the old doctor guy was part of the reason why Deku doesn't have a quirk, and maybe he actually had one and it was really good, and All For One took it. And then there's the theory that Asta had magic upon being born, but somehow he lost it. And I think it would make sense that maybe they, you know, traded ideas, and that helped them get to where the series is now. Let's see, Black Clover OP is so good. Yeah, that's the best one for Black Clover Joshua Light for sure. I actually really like the new Fairy Tail opening and ending. They're both really good. The 24th one, I didn't like it at first that much, but it really grew on me. This new one actually I really like. Out of the 3 new ones since the series started back up, this one's definitely my favorite out of the 3 for sure. Heart Clover. Oh, I think they're only stated to be allies in the anime. I think that was just a part in the anime. I don't remember if that's canon, though. I don't think it's in the manga. It could be from one of the novels, because the novels are canon, but obviously the novels are only in Japanese, so I can't really make out what they say unless somebody translates them and puts them all online somewhere comfortable to read. Good to see you. Good to see you too. Telehim29, how's it going? Just talking about the last chapters. Been really enjoying stuff going on. What's up, Sheridan Kane? How's it going? Corey's AMV. How's it going? Are you new as well, Corey's AMV? Or at least maybe I don't recognize you. I don't know if you were here last week. Definitely good to see new faces. I got a lot. Like I said, I got a lot of subs from the. I didn't expect my last Black Clover review to do as well as it did. I expect like Black Clover and Fairy Tail. Usually I get around 1,000 to like 1,500, and then like a good one is like for like a big chapter, I'll get like 2,500. My Black Clover review is like at 5,000, and I've got 36 subs from it. Like, holy shit! I legitimately I appreciate all the people that, you know, watched the video, that, you know, thumbs it up or thumbs it down, you know, if you doing whatever you thought it was what it deserved. But also everyone that subscribed. I've been really happy about things are going. I'm almost at 900, and then I just need 100 more, and then I can hit that 6,000 mark. But yeah, I appreciate everyone who comes to the streams as well, especially. It's good talking to you guys. I do look forward to chatting with everybody every week, especially, I think tonight, I think in, like 8 or 9, the Game of Thrones season starts, so I gotta definitely watch that. I'm really glad the stream didn't line up with the time that Game of Thrones is gonna air, because I don't know which one I have to pick, but I know a lot of people would pick Game of Thrones over coming to my stream, and I understand that. Like, this is gonna be a big season. Definitely looking forward to that as well, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. Let me scroll up so I don't lose what people are saying. How do you think Asta and Deku would interact? I think they'd be friends. The thing is, Asta would get along with most shonen MCs, especially. I think it'd be a little bit hard for Deku, because Deku definitely like rags on himself a lot. But Asta would probably like be really nice to him. I mean, especially the fact that he'd probably see like Asta's swords and think they're cool, and then maybe be like, oh, my power's not as cool as that. You know, Asta's like forms and stuff. But then all it would take is him to show Asta's super strength. Asta would think it's really cool, give him compliments, and they'd be buddies. So that'd be good. They'd definitely be good friends. Oh god, I lost my place. There we go. Yeah, okay. What's yep. Plus Asta has a healthy relationship with Rivalry, you know, in comparison to Baku. So yeah, I really like Asta and Yuno have a really cool relationship, because they act more like brothers as their rivals. Because like Asta's really humble and polite, and he doesn't really let when people shit talk him get to him that often. But with Yuno, like he's very like smug, and he'll like brag about his accomplishments and try and flex on him all the time, which I think is cool. You know, very brotherly. And then Yuno, who's like very kind of calm and he's not really that social. And then he sees Asta and he wants to like tease him and make fun of him, and you know, he messes with him all the time. I definitely like their brotherly relationship. And I like Bakugo and Deku as individuals. I don't like their rivalry very much because Bakugo, the fact that Deku still takes his shit is just, I don't really like it. I mean, like, especially like Bakugo still shit talking him and like trashing him all the time. I don't get it. The dude saved his ass so many times, and yet he still like treats him like garbage. I don't know. There's a lot of Bakugo's character that I think is cool, but I'm not a huge fan of the way that he interacts with a lot of characters. At least as of now, like I got it at the start, but the dude's gotten his ass in so many bad situations, and then like the other kids save him, and yet he doesn't seem that genuinely appreciative of it, which I think is a little bit weird. I don't know. I feel like he should at least be like, instead of calling Deku trash all the time, maybe downgrade to like idiot, and then just like, you know, be more aggressive in chatting with him, but not bully him as much. I don't know. It's a little bit weird. Keeping up the card motif. Does Jack the Ripper cover the Jack playing card in the deck? Maybe. I have to double check that. Don't forget, One for All has been given to people with quirks. Yeah, it's gonna carry over, but I don't know. I'm still not a huge fan of that decision. Obviously, it's not my story. It's Tabata's story. Not Tabata, Horikoshi's story. He knows how the story's going. He's got the plan, so it's really up to him. Maybe it'll all make sense on the long run. But I'm just not a huge fan of the idea of Deku having 7 quirks. It's gonna be so OP because like Todoroki is OP with 2 quirks, and Deku has one of them is the best quirk, the best singular quirk in the world is All for One. Or fuck, I did it again. One for All, because it's not just super strength, it also makes you super durable, and because you know you're able to, you have these supreme muscles, you're able to move super fast, and like that's so good in a world where so many characters don't have like their powers really cover one area, but like One for All covers a lot of areas in general, and then you have all these different things for it. Like I've said multiple times, I don't get why he gave him 7 quirks when there's 2 girls canon that Deku talks to that make gear to enhance quirks and stuff. Like I don't get why he didn't do that instead of giving him all these extra powers. There's a whole lot to it. Like I would have preferred happen, but again, it's not my story. I'm not the writer. Tabata is. He's the one that is in charge, and at the end of the day, he needs to do what he thinks is best for the story. You know, like that's like what I say. A lot of people. A lot of people will get salty when I'd say like this is what I would have preferred. But again, I'm just giving my opinion, not what I'm saying. I'm not saying the author sucks for his decision. He should have done this. It's like it still works clearly for the overall series. I'm just giving my base opinion. Obviously, my opinion doesn't eclipse everybody else's. But let's see. If Asta's sword get destroyed and you got a new one, do you think it would become corrupt like the original holder? That's actually a really cool theory. I've thought about the theory that he'll get his own sword eventually. Because there's when the swords are all talked about from the Elf Queen, you see Licht holding 2 swords and what looks like 3 swords like plunged in the ground behind him. So I'm guessing there's 5 swords, and 5, you know, lines up with, you know, the 5-relief Clover. And I feel like Asta will get a 6th sword, and that will be like his own sword instead of, you know, that'll be his, or maybe it's like every time he cuts a spell with it, it increases his physical stats and he gets faster and stronger as it goes, which would be pretty cool, pretty OP, and it would make sense for like for kind of like an Asta original one. But like that's actually a really cool idea. Like if he was given a sword, because maybe it can't just be like a random sword. It has to be like a specially made sword, because we don't know if the swords are, if they're made from, if they kind of like came with the sword, the spell book with Grimoire originally, or if maybe they're magic swords you can put in there. Because Yami's sword is just a sword, and then he uses the magic in it. Maybe the swords are elven made or dwarven made, or you know, there's some race that makes weapons out in the Black Clover world. Definitely a lot to it. I'm very curious. I've been very curious about that for a while. I thought about him getting more swords, but I didn't think about like if he ever, you know, just got a new sword and it did that. That'd be pretty cool. Well, kind of like if he could imbue the anti-magic into other weapons. That'd be pretty sick too. Like maybe it doesn't have a power, but it's just general anti-magic. That'd be pretty sick. I doubt Nero's actual name is Nero in Black Clover. it was the name that Asta called him. Yeah, I know. But we don't... That's just what we have for him, though, right now. Obviously, he's going to have something beforehand, because he's intelligent, he can talk, so... Eventually, we'll figure out what his real name is, but... I remember there was... Oh, no... Wasn't Luck the one that named him Nero? Because it was... I think it was... I think it was... Asta and Noel were arguing over giving him a name, and then Luck went with Nero. If I'm remembering it correctly, and then he liked Nero, so definitely enjoying that. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see exactly probably that soon, because we also don't know the name of Asta's demon or this new demon. We don't know a lot of characters' names. We don't know any of the Wizard King's names except for Julius, and there's 27 before him, 25. I think it was the 20. I think he's the 26th or the 28th Wizard King. I said one of them recently, and then someone corrected me, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, you got it. Also, really quick, just as it's been a while, get to a quick shill real quick. If you haven't yet, I would really appreciate it if you would thumbs up the stream, subscribe if you haven't for more of these streams and more of my videos. I do manga videos, but I do mostly stuff like Fairy Tail, Black Clover, and stuff like that. Two series I really like, and I've always really liked Fairy Tail. I don't care if people don't like it. I've enjoyed it, and I've been loving Black Clover since I picked it up, and I never let anybody, because obviously it got a lot of hate, but that only was at the point where people were just looking at the general premise and saying it was a Naruto ripoff and trying to rag on it, and then now everyone's riding on it, and all of us that knew Black Clover was good from the start are just sitting here and be like, we told you, it's good stuff. Anyway, yeah, power levels are BS. Power levels by numbers, Eric. We talked about this a little bit. When you can gauge power levels to a degree, like Black Clover, it's obvious, easy one. We can imagine that the captains are all within a certain area of each other, but it's if it was like Yami's a 17 and fucking Julius is a 40, and then you have like them fighting, and if it was like Yami was able to do anything to Julius, or it's like, how is that possible if he's so much stronger? It's really when the author tries to give definitive levels like that it really kind of hurts. It's always made better sense when it's like speculation of a character within the range, because then it's like, all right, they turned around a fight, where it's like, instead of it's like exact. Like, that's one of the things I think that hurt Seven Deadly Sins a lot, is you had given power levels, and then you have moments like Merlin's power level was like, what, like 4,200, and she's never been given a stated upgrade, but then you have her kicking the shit out of Chandler and Cusack, and they're both like 180,000, and you're just like, how is that possible when beforehand like a 5,000 difference was like devastating? Just very silly. Definitely was, I think really hurt the series overall. I'm hoping that when the dude, if he makes his next series, Nakaba, if he makes his next series in the same world, which I'm hoping he does, that he doesn't include power levels by numbers, because that was definitely the downfall of Seven Deadly Sins, because that was when things that started to really kind of take a heavy tumble, because the first arc is solid as hell, and then it's around, my opinion, I think it started to go downhill when Gallon got beat for the first time. Meliodas got his power back, and then he just went up and walked through a Gallon, and then Bond walked through Gallon, and then Escanor walked through Gallon, and then all of the demons just started to get trashed by the same people, and it was just so sad. Especially Gallon. Gallon is the coolest one of that whole group. The dude was just awesome. He had a cool-ass design, cool-ass weapon, and he just was a fun dude, and then he got trashed. If it's the first Wizard King, I wonder what made come up with the shape of the anti-bird. There's always the curiosity of the first Wizard King. I'm wondering if it's someone deeper, like older, because maybe someone like further back, like maybe there's going to be somebody more kind of like related to the anti-birds, like the origin of anti-magic. Like there's so many things like that can connect to it. Maybe the anti-birds are like kind of like seers. This character would see through, and that's how they found Asta, and he sent the Grimoire to him specifically, because I don't know, the first Wizard King would be interesting, but I'm wondering how that would tie in, because he used light magic, so I'm wondering how exactly that would work for him having an anti-bird. Plus, I think it would be really cool is if you had this kind of like character somewhere in the world, this kind of like what was it in Game of Thrones, the Third-Eyed Raven? If you had a character like that, but like this kind of like sage of anti-magic, and he sends out all these anti-birds just kind of like scouring the world for looking at for stuff, that'd be pretty sick. So does Mosa look like Yuno's mother? And we'll get Asta another sword from Nero. Also, if Ayami versus Asta and Yuno fight, who will win? The question. I don't understand that first one. Does Mimosa look like Yuno mother? I don't understand that one. But Yami and Asta versus, or Yami versus Asta and Yuno, it depends on if they get their power up. They get off anti-magic form of the Spirit Dive oftentimes, because Yami can still one-shot the hell out of them. It's the fact that they're very powerful as a combo. I think that if Yami was fighting them, there's obviously the advantage 2 versus 1, and you have anti-magic and then spirit magic. But Yami, obviously, his is like his normal fighting strength. His moves will combo together really well, and his black hole is really OP for being in the series. Like, it counters a lot of ranged attacks, and I think he can outlast their forms, because Asta can only hold his for a handful of minutes, or really, it seems like he could hold it for a few minutes, and then if he can only use like one technique in it before it falls off. We don't know if they can achieve that kind of advanced form that they got during the fight with the demon, and do that willingly, because that just seemed kind of like a limit break moment, and maybe it won't be temporary, and that'll just be like the next step that they have to try and master and hone. I do like that. I like that it wasn't like they just add the second horn. It was just like a slightly further progressed, you know, they each got a little bit more of their forms, where it still was noticeable, but it wasn't so noticeable that it was just like, well, they almost got the whole form under control. It was just like baby steps, which I thought that was really cool. I really liked both of them. Both their forms look so sick. Yuno's especially looks very unique. Asta's is really cool, but it's not, I don't think it's as unique as Yuno's, but it's obviously just as cool. I definitely like Yuno's weird design to his spirit dive. Toga would come at kill. What? Toga would come at kill the kill. What the fuck? Oh, I see what you mean. Gosh. You think Draken Joe will be similar to Hades, where he's obsessed with Mother, like how Hades is obsessed with Zeref with the... I don't know. We don't know anything about Draken Joe. I think he's going to be more like a businessman. I don't know. I got this weird kind of like... He'll be more like a mob boss kind of guy. Like, he's much more about business, and because he doesn't seem like he was like some big like adventure guy, because he was on Gilth, so he clearly had to, you know, a big tie-in to, and he's the one that turned the planet like that, so he's got some big tie-in to the criminal world further than I think maybe the other Erasion States Galactica do. That's kind of like what my guess. He's going to be more like this, maybe like seasoned gang leader. I think would be really cool. I think that would make him stand out a lot too, with Hiro Mishima's works. There's a lot of his big villains I think stand out really well, and I think that this would help a lot with the tone of Eden Zero 2. A lot of people for some reason still compare it to like Fairy Tail, which I don't get, because like the tones are so much different, like the plots are so much different, the characters are really different too. I don't know. I don't get how people compare them as well. I mean, other than like the art style, but that's just because it's from the same author. Super goofy. More Black Clover videos. I do have one that I'll put up after this, but nice narrow discussion video, and it's kind of going over a couple things about it. Not as heavy as we will probably get soon. I think once we get some more info on it, probably in the next chapter, he'll probably talk to Finral and give out some information that will open up a whole bunch of other theories. Because that's one of the things I think is also really fun going on right now. Is like, especially I think with Black Clover and Fairy Tail, like every chapter every chapter for a while has been really good, but also they've all opened up so many new things to kind of like talk about and theorize. Every chapter there's something very new to really look at and be like, well, maybe this ties to this, maybe these things will kind of work together. And I think that's one of the more fun aspects of when you read a chapter weekly, rather than if you read it all in bulk. Like, you get to speculate and theorize, and I think that's always really fun, especially like this, like talking to other people about it and just kind of like going over things. I always liked group chats as well, talking about things rather than just one-on-one. I always thought group chats were a lot more enjoyable. That's why I like these streams. I think it's fun to chat with you guys about everything. Why didn't they mention the white mage in the original series? Are you talking about Fairy Tail? Well, they probably didn't. She didn't seem that... she's only, what, 100 years prior, and she was very inactive until recently, so probably it wasn't like a big deal. Because like the Dark Guild seemed way more active. I think that's one of the things that this is probably why I didn't talk about her too much. Because the fact that even if she was like a threat, if she's not doing anything, then it's not really gonna matter. Like Zeref was the most infamous black wizard in all of the known fairy tale history, but the characters didn't talk about him as much because a lot of him just kind of seemed to die down until obviously him coming back, and they were more concerned with the characters that were out doing stuff, you know, like the Grimoire Heart, Oracion Seis, Tartarus, even some of the Zeref cults. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's only the fact that she's been more active recently since Albrecht really went down and Zeref's no longer in the picture. Let's see, who's a better protagonist, Guts or Asta? I mean, Guts, you can't really compare that. Like, Asta's, I think he's a much more, he's a more kind of like one you'd want to watch if you were going to see, like, you know, a young guy going his journey. Guts is much more of Guts is more, I'd say more of like a serious tone, for obvious reasons, but Guts, that's not even really fair. Guts is like, I think, probably the most well-written, like, big protagonist. Like, the dude is just, he feels so real, and everything about him just makes him feel so human. Because even, like, you see all these, like, vicious, like, anger issues. You can see, like, parts where it all stems from, parts where he's vulnerable, what exactly hurts him, even after he's, you know, this wandering dude with a fucking 600-pound greatsword. Was it 6 or 4? I think it's 400. 400-pound greatsword. And just killing any motherfucker that comes at him. And he's got broken bones, still fighting, just gushing blood. And even after all that, you know, just thinking back about, you know, the eclipse and everything that happened with Casca and the Man of the Hawk, and that still will make him cry. And not like a manly shed tear cry. You know, like I remember, I think it was after... Was it after that whole kind of first time in the manga that we see Griffith and the God Hand, and then that girl like yells at him and like leaving out Guts, like he just looks so broken from that scene, and it was just such like a raw sadness and just like that kind of like breakdown like look. I thought that was really good for him. Guts is just such an interesting character. He's obviously calmed down a lot. I like how he calmed down a lot, but at the same time, you can see how he's very happy about having a crew again, and he enjoys his friends. But he doesn't. He's having trouble. He has trouble expressing it for obvious reasons. Definitely looking forward to Berserk. Comes out at hiatus, I think, on the 24th. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Do you think Nero being Tedia would piss fans off? And what if the demon remains belong to Licht in the first Wizard King? Like he sacrificed himself to kill the mutated Licht. I don't know. I don't know why people would be mad if it was Tedia. I think fans would be more annoyed if it was. If it didn't hold as much weight as I think it will be, if it just like, I'm just some random elf that's been helping you for a reason, like it just didn't really matter. I think it's got to be someone significant, such as the first Wizard King, Tedia, the actual Licht, if this Licht isn't real, or as I said, like some really important character, like if there's just some guy out there like influencing a lot of stuff, some big deal in the overall Black Clover world, you know. I'm no longer hooked to Game of Thrones. Just want to know what happens. I'm still really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to the last season. Who do you think is more heroic and least heroic between Naruto, Deku, Asta, and Meliodas? Well, Meliodas is not heroic. I know people really like Meliodas. I don't really care about him much anymore. I haven't liked where a lot of the areas Nakaba has taken him. Like, a lot of times he tries to be too vicious, and then he'll try to be like I'm just a normal guy at the same time, feel to him. I mean, a lot of people still like him, but I feel like he hasn't been portrayed as well as he was early on in the story. Like, there's a lot of times where it was really kind of interesting for Meliodas, and I think his character really fell off in this last arc. I think a lot of stuff in Seven Deadly Sins fell off really heavy in the last arc. That's why I'm hoping that, I think if Nakaba makes his next series takes place in a different country in the same world, and all the characters still exist, and maybe they make cameos and stuff, I think he could fix a lot of the issues that Seven Deadly Sins had later on. And it could be a lot more interesting if instead some of these characters just kind of had a longer lasting effect, but they're not around as much. I think that would be really cool. And again, maybe like cameos and stuff. I don't know. I think he messed up in a lot of areas near the end. I mean, especially like the last like what 2 chapters. The fact that Merlin could just like casually pull the curses out of their bodies so Meliodas can destroy them like that. I thought that was like, kind of stupid. And it's like, why the hell can she just casually do this? I don't like Merlin as a character at all. Like I don't mind Meliodas, I'd say. I don't like King as what he's done. I haven't liked a lot of decisions, but Merlin is just unbearable. She's so annoyingly, like, plot device, and it's not like, hey, this makes sense of, this character having significance and importance here. Like I've talked about in One Piece right now, Chopper would make a lot of sense if he became a big character because of his rumble balls. Like, you give him to some, like, if Kaido knew if he could... There's a drug in the world from Chopper, one of the Straw Hats. You give it 3 of them to a zone user, and they have this kind of like were monster form, like the Monster Point. And you give that to like Kaido or any of his crew, he'd be like, that'd be a good reason why Chopper would randomly be a big character. Not even, and it'd be something built in way earlier, but. The fact that Merlin just is around and somehow she's always, like, annoyingly relevant, and it's only because she's OP and stupid, I don't like it. Would be annoyed with Bakugo. The thing is, so would just, like, Bakugo would just scream at him and, like, yell at him, and would just be like, okay, what are we doing here? Are we going and doing the mission or whatever we're supposed to be doing? And it'd be pretty funny. I think they'd have so I've thought about, like, crossovers, because I always really liked crossovers for character interactions most of all, and obviously Asta and Deku would be interesting to see interact, but I think Yuno and Bakugo would be more interesting just by that whole kind of like super opposite ends of their character. How's your Insect Kingdom idea coming along? I haven't worked on it too lately. I have been thinking about it, but I haven't worked on it too often. I've still been thinking about some stuff because obviously Andres is making a long ago topic brought up. I've talked about how I had some story ideas, and one of them was like they all had different themes, and one of them was like themed on war, but instead of, it was going to be kind of like magic themed, but instead of like elves and dwarves and all the standard magical characters, they're all going to be kind of like bug based races, and it was going to kind of go off a lot like that. Like you'd have like I talk about like all the bees, like bees, hornets, wasps, they're all going to kind of be Valkyrie types, and then you'd have like the ants would all be kind of like themed like Spartans, and give them all kind of like different fun tones to them. That's what he's referring to. The only thing I've thought about recently is because I wanted to make, I think I've been speculating a fifth series, if I ever did it. I don't know if I ever will, to be more horror themed, but I've been thinking about mainly of like ways to differentiate each main character so they all have different kind of fighting styles. So that's about what I'm thinking. That's the only thing I've been thinking about lately with that. Just to give some context to what Andres was talking about. Bakugo is like Vegeta with Goku, where he'll be great in Deku, but with no real problem with it. Yeah, you wouldn't care. No, yeah, one of my ideas. Just I give the context to it for anybody who hasn't heard it already. Bakugo, it's not like I'm thankful or anything, you damn nerd. Yeah, I mean, Bakugo. I just don't get why how he could still be an asshole. Like I don't get how he could still be that. God damn it, I'm so far behind. I gotta catch up. I gotta speed read. I don't understand the end game plan with Deku and my idea. Yeah, that's what I always say. Like regardless of like my current opinion, obviously it could be fixed later along the line. Sounds like a Chimera Ants. Oh yeah, there's definitely aspects to him I think that would work. If anything, this is a lot build up the end game. Yeah, crap, I heard that. We should be called Baku Stew. I mean, Bakugo, he's on that borderline. He's not a Gary Stu because characters don't like him, and he makes a lot of dipshit decisions that screw him over. It's the fact he's just really good at stuff, but that's really that's just what he's good at. I mean, obviously he has aspects to his personality and his character that really fuck him over. Black Clover One Piece. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of One Piece. Do you think we'll see someone in Black Clover with a plasma sword like Arthur from Fire Force? Yeah, we're definitely going to get some further weird powers, because one thing Tabata definitely has is he has a grasp on very strange abilities, but also OP ones. We'll probably get like a plasma character eventually. He probably already has one in mind. Do you think Asta having 3 powerful demon swords is a problem, like Deku having 6 quirks? Well, no, because they're all kind of like they're all extensions of anti-magic, and they all have different aspects to them, and it doesn't, it kind of just gives them a different variation, kind of like how for One For All, didn't mess up this time, how One For All gives him not only super strength, but also super speed, super durability. Like, those aren't, they feel like if you just set them all, it'd be like, why does he have super speed if he's super strength? Or it's like, no, it's because, you know, it's like this energy stockpile quirk, and he could use, you know, the muscular strength in his legs to move extremely fast by, like, doing, like, powerful jumps and stuff. His body is obviously physically strong enough to do all this, so it's going to be way more durable than the normal human body. That's kind of like the thing with Asta's swords. It's not like he none of his powers kind of like are way different. Like, his first one, his sword is just very anti-magic. It's very magic repellent, so he can either cut or reflect. He's got one that absorbs magic, and he's got a effect canceling, kind of like AoE version of his anti-magic. It's not like if he just got something that doesn't relate. It'd be like if he got, hey, this anti-magic sword lets me teleport. And it's like, why? How does that make sense? I mean, obviously there's logic behind Deku having all these other quirks. I just don't like the fact that he's gonna be way too OP with them, and Asta's doesn't give him as much as I think Deku has gotten, because both of them were very close range melee style characters, right? But now that Deku has the Black Whip, he's way more mobile. He's got ranged, like, again, all he has to do is grab somebody with the Black Whip and pull them in, and he can more than likely one-shot them, because he's got attacks stronger than most characters within My Hero Academia, because most people have weird abilities that kind of they work around, but his is just all around like raw power. So it's just kind of the fact that there's still multiple powers, but Asta's is more revolved around this original power versus Deku, where it's more feeling like he's just getting freebies. I guess I really could compare it to like how Asta's getting swords. If Deku got like, imagine if he got a piece of gear where every time he used an attack, it stored up some of the force, and then he eventually could unleash all that stockpile into like one big shockwave, like how he has the Air Force attacks. Like, if he could punch the air and do like as much damage with an air shockwave like that, as he would like a normal Detroit Smash, where it's more of a new area covered by his original power rather than a whole new power, you know? Luck came up with the name Nero. Yeah, oh my god, I'm wondering how far back I am. Astaroth is the demon. Yeah, I've seen that theory. I've been speculating that too. And that's why I'm waiting for the names for one of the demons, so we can maybe formulate what demon mythos that Tamada is basing a lot off of. Wouldn't be interested in the first Wizard King started off with no magic as well. That would be interesting. I like that Asta stands out like that, but it's more like a negative standout. You think that we're gonna get that and linked moment? Maybe. I'm over 9 million, says Jared Punch. That's nice. Julius was a captain for the gray deer or ashen deer back before. I just reread the Gray versus Invul fight and was reminded Gray's ice armor fists that he never utilizes afterwards. Do you think that he should utilize armor style attacks and variety in the future? Well, he hasn't had a chance to utilize them again, because the thing is, it's not like the destruction fists or destruction gauntlets or whatever. It's not like they're specifically like the best things Gray could have, because Gray's thing isn't like his whole thing is that he's variety. He's all about you could utilize that same power in just a different version. Like, it just kind of seemed more like he used him for the melee aspect, but obviously Gray is more ranged most of the time. I think what would be best for him, legitimately think about this, because he copied Invil's True Ice, so he has the ability, assuming he can still do it. I don't know why he wouldn't be able to still do it. Use this ice that it doesn't matter if you have a resistance to the cold. It voids durability. So unless you have a general magic resistance or magic canceling ability, he has this ability. Like, just imagine if he mained an archery, because archery is the area I think Gray should focus on. Because imagine if he made True Ice arrows, because we've already seen him ice, like, from back in the Racion Sace arc. He, like, nailed Racer from, like, a mile away. Imagine if he did that in a fight, like, especially with someone like Scarion, if he ever has that rematch. Having these ice arrows that will freeze pretty much anything within the Fairy Tail universe, just nails him from a mile away, and just keeps, like, bombarding him. It'd be super OP, but that would be pretty sick on Gray's part. Gallon took as many L's as Yami from Bleach. Ugh. I know. I've been salty about that for a long time, because I always really liked Gallon. Power levels, the memories of Vegeta destroyed a scouter. Dragon Ball, again, another series. Like I said, when the author gives power levels definitive numbers, it screws up. How many Raditz do you think Asta and Deku are worth? I mean, they're not as powerful as Raditz yet. I mean, Raditz is still pretty powerful. I mean, even if he kind of, he's memed at, he's still stronger than, what, like, Demon King Piccolo, and he blew up, like, a small island. So he's definitely worth something. In the manga, it says Mimosa looked like Yuna's mother. Oh, I don't remember that. I have to look that back up. Or do you mean just like I have to look it up. I don't recall that off the top of my head, but that's interesting. Maybe maybe it will be relevant later if it's just they look somewhere. What do you think is dumber, Yami being a spotted zero or Gemma stating to be strongest in 9 demons? Well, I think Gemma's was dumber, but I think that his was just. The thing about Yami is Yami, for some reason, was a spotted zero, which was so weird. But, yeah, Zama's just seemed more like him hyping himself up. And I don't like thinking about him because both his human and demon forms looked so cool. And yet, Mishima didn't give him, like, any credit at all. I remember when that dude first showed up, and I was like, yes, an opponent for Makarov. This is going to be awesome. And you, like, imagine it, like, later on, it's just like, Makarov, because Makarov's never gone as big as that moment when he went against Grimoire Heart. Like, he was like a mile tall. The dude is freaking huge, and he hasn't never gone that big since then. And I just imagine, like, especially in Caracas, like, imagine him like being that tall in this city and just looking down on Zenma. That would have been so cool. I really wish that happened. That's one of my only things in the Grand Magic games. I was just like, God damn it. Like, I don't know what it is about that family. Hiramashita treated Zenma like shit, and Minerva got treated very poorly until she kind of got became good again. I've always been very that's one of the only things about Mishima that I've always been not too happy about, because Minerva was built up to be a big villain for a while. It was really interesting to see, like, she was like more of an antagonist, and then she became a villain. And then she joined up with Tartarus, and then it was like maybe she'll keep climbing the ladder and then be part of Zeref's crew or something, but didn't happen. Was never a fan of that. I always liked Minerva's character. I was very disappointed with how she was treated. I mean, it made sense to her with her power complex, but I didn't like how her rise to villainy and power kind of, as it was getting really interesting, kind of like died down. That was lame, but whatever. Even if it's not Charlotte, her and Yami still work to get good in battle. Yeah. Is that one chapter 100? I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember. Yeah, them Clover's Karama. Who's more badass, the Goblin Slayer or Shield Hero Naofumi? I like the Goblin Slayer. I mean, Naofumi's cool. Is the anime still going? Because they got past where I was in the manga back when I was still reading it. So I'll get caught up with it eventually. But Naofumi is really cool, but the Goblin Slayer is just a fucking badass. I really love this, how everything he does somehow turns, like, you could be like, hey, Goblin Slayer, have you tried this new Have you tried this new hot sauce they got at Taco Bell? And he would somehow figure out a way to use that to kill goblins. And that's one of the things I think is really funny about the Goblin Slayer, is every single thing he does, he looks at it and then be like, how can I use this to murder more goblins? Yeah, I just love that speculation of him. I think that's pretty hilarious. Meliodas has perverted levels that make Sanji and Roshi look like saints. I mean, yeah, that was one of the funny things about Meliodas at the start, but I just don't like how Nakaba kind of turned him into. Thoughts on double Destroyed Smash in My Hero Academia the movie? I mean, I thought it was cool. I think it was. I'm waiting for Deku to get his own moves, though. I don't like that he just kind of copies a lot of All Might's moves. I want him to start getting his own attacks. Like, have his own move set. I mean, even if it's like, he should combo them and then give them their own names. And that was one of the things I really wanted him to get gear for, is I wanted him to get his own, like, really cool ability, like, techniques as well. And it looks like it's going to take longer, because now he's got to unlock all these other powers, but also learn to control them. And that's one of the, again, that's one of the spats I have at the, that's just one of the things I don't like about the whole 7 other quirks things. But again, that's just my opinion. You know, if you like it, whatever. Do you. Who's ready for Endgame? I'm hyped for the 3-hour long day. I'm gonna watch it online or when I can rent it. I'm not going to the theater for 3 hours. I'm really salty about where I see the MCU going. I don't like Captain Marvel. It's gonna be dumb that she's gonna probably throw fists with Thanos, which is ridiculous. And the fact she's gonna lead the team after this movie and she's gonna be the face of the MCU, I can't. I'll watch it when it's free, but I'm not going to the theater for that. I'd rather watch Brightburn, which if you haven't seen Brightburn's trailer, it's like if Superman, he's got like the same origin as Superman, the same idea, but if he became like evil. And there's been some bad Superman stories, but this one just looks really dark. And it's like a rated R horror superhero movie, which looks cool. And then Godzilla, King of Monsters looks freaking awesome. I can't wait to watch Godzilla. I'm very excited for that. I just want to see some kaijus fighting. That's going to be so awesome. I thought this was a Black Clover combo. It is Steven Torres, but I get distracted. When people ask me questions. I'm not going to ignore people if there's a main topic. Obviously, Black Clover is a very main topic. It's one of the main things about my channel. But there's other stuff when people ask me a question. I'm not going to ignore them just to talk about Black Clover. Obviously, I want to talk about Black Clover, but I want to answer people's questions, of course, too, because that's one of the whole things I like about these streams is the conversation interaction. You should freeze the chat for a bit. No, I'll catch up. I don't want to keep anyone's questions from either. If I freeze the chat, then people won't be able to get their questions in. You think we'll explore other cosmos in Eden Zero? Yeah, we'll get that soon because they're gonna leave. They're gonna go over Dragon Falls after they get their 4th member back and can restore Eden Zero. Because now they have their ship keeper, they have their healer, they have their security systems person, and then whatever. Valkyrie or whoever replaces Valkyrie will probably be like a weapon systems character, which will be pretty sick. Bakugo's internship is an interesting choice in My Academia. Yeah, I see it. Oh god, I'm almost caught up. Hold on, let me scroll up. I lost my spot. There we go. But Rock's still between Deku, Naruto, and Asta. Who do you think is more heroic? I really like Asta. It's Asta or Deku. Naruto is still good, but Naruto's came more like he was trying to prove for himself rather than save other people. Whereas Asta and Deku are very much about helping others and saving people in trouble. It's a little hard to pick. If I had to pick between them, I would pick Asta just because that definitive moment, I think, when Black Clover is really turning around in a lot of the eyes of people, when the Midnight Sun invaded the capital, and just like you had all these people shitting on the series, but also like in the series people shitting on Asta, and then both seeing Asta standing up for people, going to help people, and I think again a lot of those turnaround moments in both the series and in reality, I think really, I think was a really good heroic moment for him. Obviously, I feel like Deku will have more in the long run. Well, no, because I think Black Clover is going to be much longer than My Hero Academia. Because Tabata originally said 30 to 40. I think he said 30 volumes originally, but he's obviously gonna have to extend it out. But Tabata said he'd go as long as Naruto, as long as they let him. So, I mean, like it's gonna be going for a while, and like it's weird to think about like going that length, but he's only a little bit over like partially into the anti-magic form. He's only has 3 swords. Well, now he has 2, and he hasn't even made the captain level yet before Wizard King. So, and it's already at 200 chapters, and we could, I mean, assuming that we aren't going to get another sword for another 100 chapters, I mean, then we're not even going to get all 4 or all 5, assuming 5 swords by chapter 400, and then there's still going to be a lot more going on afterwards, and if Asta gets his own original sword. Who do you think is better swordsman, Asta or Haru? Haru's a better swordsman. Well, Asta's much more of like a street brawler swordsman, like especially like when you play him in if you played him in Jump Force, just the way that his fighting style works. He just seems kind of like more of like an improv fighter with just like using his sword specifically for her, you know, how big and different they are. But Haru was a really good swordsman. Not like great, but he was definitely, I think he was more skilled, especially the fact that he comboed his swords together better than Asta has. But Asta's don't function the same, so it's a little bit different. Where's Haru from? What anime? He's from Rave Master. Haru Glory. Nero was the first Wizard King because his body's sealed in that statue. I've actually been wondering, like, what if it's not his body, but his grimoire is sealed in there? And we'll see the Wizard King's grimoire, and maybe there'll be a thing where maybe when he died, or maybe he put his life in his grimoire and he's still able to do something with it. I don't know. There's a lot of curious things. There's also my theory that maybe the guy inside of of Nero is actually the demon that the first Wizard King fought, because maybe that's why he wanted them to gather all the stones, as he was actually working with the other demon. Like, imagine, so that's something I actually really wanted to talk about, because Nero, he was part of the whole kind of like going after all the stones, and it wasn't just like, because if it was the first Wizard King, he'd probably be more on terms of hiding it, whereas just the gathering of it was very important to Nero. So, like, what if he also is trying to resurrect himself as a demon, and he wanted to get the Shadow Palace up? Thought it right there. Think about it. You gonna see the next Star Wars movie? It looks pretty good. No. Sorry if you still like Star Wars. I can't watch. I refuse to go to the theaters anymore after Last Jedi. Can't do it. I didn't like that movie. Even in the first scene of the trailer, like, whoever was flying that TIE fighter at Ren, Rey, why would they not shoot her? Why would, if you're in a spaceship that shoots lasers, why would you not shoot a laser that's going probably at light speed into somebody's back who's not even looking at you? I just think that's goofy. I don't like Rey as a character, and the idea of seeing Rose Tico again is horrible. I don't ever want to see Rose Tico again. Even with multi-quirks, people can still not be efficient using them all in unison. Yeah, no, that's one of the things I'm hoping for. Zagaro, do you think Zagaro, I don't think I've seen you in the stream before. What's up, dude? Are you new? How's it going? Do you think Asta will use other tools, like Sally makes some other stuff while Alchemist creates utilized weapons? So that's one of the things I think is really interesting about the dwarves, is obviously dwarves are very known for mining minerals, creating weapons and gear, and maybe Asta will get some gear from them. Maybe he'll get some form of special weapon or armor. Maybe he'll get something afterwards, because I'm still speculating a time skip after this one. How long of a time skip, I don't know, but it'd be really cool. And maybe, Asta loses the headband and maybe gains like part of a helmet, or maybe he gets more of a knightly look. It'd be really cool if by the end of the series, instead of looking like the way that Asta's outfit is, he becomes more of like an anti-magic knight, like with armor and all. That'd be really sick if he had his own like knight suit. That'd be pretty intense. Like, I'd love to see that. That'd be really fun. Who's your favorite pro hero? Well, I thought you were gonna say hero. My favorite character probably in My Hero Academia is Knuckle Duster, but he's a vigilante. Pro Hero. I don't know. I really like Endeavor. He's pretty cool. Guys, no, keep typing. Don't stop the questions just because I'm behind. I want you guys to ask all the questions you like. Obviously, like I said, I enjoy the conversation. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy I enjoy being around and having nice conversation with you guys. I'm hoping I'm keeping it interesting enough that you guys are being entertained. You know, ask any questions you think think I might have an answer to. Whether it's for, it doesn't have to be Black Clover. It can be any series that I read. Well, I'd say watch, but I don't watch as many anime as I do read manga. Which, by the way, if you haven't yet, check out Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen. I gotta do my reviews for the new Jujutsu Kaisen chapter, and then I talked about it in my Chainsaw Man review. Like, it's weird looking at, like, even my smaller ones, like the ones before. I have like a Fairy Tail Theory video that is like almost 300 views. My Eden Zero videos, like, they used to get pretty popular, and now they're kind of falling down. But usually my Black Clover and my Fairy Tail videos that do really well. And so, like, I have like my last Black Clover review, which is almost at 5,000 views, and then my Chainsaw Man video, which is only at 57. But I knew it wasn't going to get a lot of views, but I love Chainsaw Man so much. If you haven't checked out, it's so awesome. It's so much fun. If you haven't read Chainsaw Man, it's a lot of fun to read. If you haven't seen it yet, because the author, it's in Shonen Jump. It's a weekly Shonen Jump, but the author he's not a shonen author. He did a seinen before it, which is really weird. And, like, the main character's plan right now, again, this is a shonen main character. His plan in how to beat this character that they're fighting, who he has his real body. There's like his core elsewhere, so they're fighting like kind of like a fleshy construct of him, to where they can't kill the person they're fighting. So, but he can still feel pain. So this dude, and again, this guy's a shonen main character. His plan is to hurt the dude enough that he wants to kill himself. And I'm just like, how is this shonen? And, like, Shonen Jump has gotten way darker since they've gone digital. I've been really having fun with it. Like, Shonen Jump, Jujutsu Kaisen, or Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Hellward and Haguma have all been really dark since they've gone all digital. I've been having a lot of favorite fight in Black Clover. Favorite overall fight. I really like the Vito fight. Obviously the anime fight. Favorite anime fight is definitely Asta versus Ludros. That fight was awesome. And there's been, I think my favorite moments though are both of the times Asta and Yuno teamed up, and you see their forms like standing next to each other. That was so awesome. That was just such a cool panel to look at. They're so enjoyable. I don't know, it was my favorite Black Clover moment of last year, of just seeing like Asta and Yuno standing by each other, but with their forms active, and then the fact that Asta's is on his right side and Yuno's is on his left side. I think that's always been a really cool aspect of their characters. The fact that they really kind of look, two halves at the time, and it's just a really cool bit. And there's I think volume 16.5, which is a data book. It has them on the cover in those forms sitting next to each other, and it just looks so damn cool. But let's see. Oh god, I gotta hurry and catch up. I'm getting there. Yeah, you guys just don't stop typing. Gray should make ice machines. How about a giant flying fortress with a giant ice laser in time? Well, he said that because he said before when Scarion made their ship out of ash, or it's like, actually it's more like bone dust because he's a skeletal dragon slayer. But I'll just go with ash. He said that something that detailed and complex shouldn't be possible for like a make style sorcerer and wizard. So it'd be really, I feel like that's impossible for now. I think making true ice arrows just seems like a good idea. It just seems the perfect kind of OP upgrade for Gray, and that would really just give him an extra step. 1 second, I'm just messaging someone really quick. All right, back to it. I'm every time I think I'm gonna get caught up, I just get distracted again. Actually, the last time Makarov got big was in a fight. Well, no, he was not that big with Atlas Flame. With Atlas Flame, he was like 20, 30 feet tall. When he went against the Grimoire Heart ship, he was massive. The dude was huge. He was like a mile tall. Go reread that whole part. Because the Grimoire Heart ship is huge. It housed, like, there were thousands of members of Grimoire Heart on it at a time. Their ship itself is pretty damn big. There's a panel, so there's a panel in the chapter where Makarov confronts Grimoire Heart, where he kicks up the tidal wave on him. And you can actually see the ship that Fairy Tail showed up to the island in the bottom left corner. And compared to Makarov, it's like the size of his fingernail. And the Grimoire Heart ship, too, it's so much bigger. The thing is probably like 500 meters long. At least I'm using meters because I don't know how many of you are international. But huge as hell. Big-ass ship. How far are we off from coming in an archer appear in Black Clover? We need an archer. That's one of the reasons I said that, like, for Fairy Tail, I want Gray to be an archer. Because Urza's a swordsman, Natsu's a melee fighter, Wendy's support, Lucy's utility. Gray should be a ranged archer. And he already has, like, his lance. Like, a lot of his attacks are long, or, like, mid to long range. It's only, like, a few of his attacks that are melee range. I would really appreciate instead of sword, he used arrows. I think that would make more sense for him. I think that I'm hoping they do that a lot. It was like one of my favorite Gray panels is actually that part where he shows up to fight Tempesta. Tempesta against right after Gagiel beat Torafuzer. And just like Gray like jumps over him with like 3 ice arrows like knocked up and ready. I thought that was pretty sick. And I've always liked just some of his ranged attacks. And I'm hoping he gets it. Because it's not just like, I want him to be an archer. Just, again, imagine him with true ice arrows. Like, those are going to be OP as hell. And just, like, you get hit by an arrow that it's, like, from a mile away. That it doesn't matter how durable you are. It doesn't matter if you have resistance to ice or the cold. It's going to freeze because it's a OP fucking true ice arrow. In the Starfest, Asta, or you know, shot Asta with a window. Yeah, he was, when he, I love that part too, when Asta pulls out his sword and negates it. There's actually another part coming up in the anime, that part where, oh my god, there's so many good parts in that chapter, when Langris and Finral fight, and Langris goes to finish him off, and then all those members of the Black Bulls just, you know, are surrounding him and ready to fuck him up, and then you got Charmy off, you know, edged up and ready on the stands. But then that panel is so cool. But then, like, when they're getting ready to fight, and Langris goes to use his spatial magic on Asta, and Asta just slashes it in the middle of the transition, and you just see that scowl on his face, like, looking up at him, and, like, his anti-magic sword is cutting through it. That part is so cool. I love that panel. As long as the anime keeps some of those panels, and some of those scenes looking good, I don't care. Those parts are so sick. How do you feel about... Oh, God. Oh, wait. No. God, I lost my spot again. I scrolled down. Oh, wait. Okay. No. Wait. Oh, my God. Damn it. I'm scrolling back up. Okay, I'm not that far off. I'm not that far off. How do you feel about Ultir turning good, seeing when she was messed up and Minerva? Well, yeah, but with the thing about Ultir is Ultir saw how everything she was fighting for was not true, which I thought was really, really cool. And she kind of switched sides, but she wasn't, I'm a good guy now. We saw a lot of what she changed over mainly in the course of 7 years, because you remember afterwards it wasn't like I'm a good guy now moment. She tried to kill herself, like with Meredy, and then Meredy went and helped her. I mean, she tried to kill herself, and they're there in the ocean. So there was more of an impact with how she did it with how then Ultir did it than with Minerva did it, personally, in my opinion, or really in general. There's a time skip should the characters split up and train like Goku. No, yeah, I'm hoping for a split up, and then they have to go to other countries maybe, and then we'll see bits in other countries, and then maybe we'll see kind of like the characters existing in those countries and other kingdoms, and like seeing things about them, and you know, getting all their training set up, and then maybe a small time skip. It doesn't have to be big, maybe like a year. I don't know, something, because it feels like Tabata is planning out, instead of it being this being all these different arcs, this being like Black Clover Part 1, And then, because like a lot of the stuff he's setting up is coming into fruition now, and then we don't even know what he's already set up that's going to come up later. Like there could be stuff right now that we looked at and just went, oh, that's cool, and then like later it'll be revealed to been bigger than what we just kind of like were thinking of initially. Tenryou arc Urza versus Mereoleona. My money's probably on Mereoleona, just because that version of Urza wasn't as powerful as even like fucking, oh my god, I'm stuttering. What am I doing with the Grand Magic Games Urza? Because obviously she got second origin at that point, and then she could burn magic, but the second Urza has Nakagami armor. It's GG for Mereoleona. Valkyrie's, because then she could actually probably cut her mana zone too, and then really screw her up. Valkyrie's introduction could be character development for her more. Yeah, I'm in the speculation that she is actually one of the Erasion Saints Galactica. One of them had to become bad. I just have this feeling one of them is bad, and obviously Valkyrie's the last one, and it's a little bit mysterious. Asta and Sally, crazy anime ship ever. There's some weirder ones. Have you ever watched a Red Future Diary? Or the Flowers of Evil, where so there's a series called The Flowers of Evil, Akunohana, and there's a part where like the main character has his original crush, and then he gets it with this other girl, and then his original crush is like, actually I like you, and then he's like, I don't like you anymore, so the original crush instead rapes him, and I'm just like, that manga is so weird. It's definitely a weirdie. It's a fun one. That guy had a really fucked up little bit of his life. Tabata said he wanted to make Black Clover longest Naruto in One Piece. I mean, he could do it. He clearly thinks stuff out way in advance. He's clearly got a lot of stuff planned out, which is cool. I love Demaria getting so traumatized, but now she gave up evil. Yeah, she's well, she wasn't evil. She gave up fighting. Because one of the things I liked about Albrecht is a lot of them didn't feel evil. They were just fighting for their kingdom. Irene definitely felt evil. Irene was definitely the one that felt evil, but obviously she had her sane side, which made sense in a lot of ways. I always try and talk to people that, because as much as I would have liked her to be a dragon longer, Irene, it made sense, because otherwise, if she didn't have that sane side, then how the fuck did Urza get to Rosemary, you know? One of my friends is reading through Fairy Tail right now, and he's about halfway, so I'm prepared for that scene, because it's infamous. It's like one of the two infamous scenes in Fairy Tail, that and Sting surrendering, but he understood the whole bit, because a lot of people don't understand Sting surrendered because he was entirely driven by his promise with Lecter. So like obviously we know that he didn't want to sully that dream by beating a bunch of barely capable to walk people in front of him, in front of a crowd, pretty much the whole continent. And that, if he did it, it would have destroyed his whole promise with Lecter, which was super important to him. A lot of people just say he's a pussy, or it's like, I mean, no, but, go ahead and hate on him for stuff he clearly didn't get. Yeah, I like Damara. Would you want Asta to do that to a villain? Well, Mars was a bad guy. Now Mars is a good guy now. But I don't know. Oh, there hasn't really... A lot of the characters in Black Clover haven't felt like villains until this demon. Now oh, my cat is awake, so she might come up here and you might hear her bell ring all the time. Hi, girl, what are you doing? I'm streaming right now. How's it going? Okay, she's got distracted. I almost got mixed up. Yeah, but the demon actually feels like a villain, where a lot of other people felt more like antagonists. So, I mean, I don't see him turning this demon over. Maybe he'll befriend some of the Diamond Kingdom and turn them good. Nero is first Wizard King or licks half soul. It doesn't make sense to see if he's a demon, because if Nero was a demon, he wouldn't show Asta the Demon Dweller sword. Well, he probably didn't want him to die, because Asta with the anti-magic swords could be, he probably saw it as an important aspect of finding the other magic stones. I mean, it could easily work into, explaining why he helped Asta and he was around him all the time. If he was trying to use him to do all these things. Again, it's all speculation. There's so many things it could be, which is really interesting. I gotta move my keyboard. My cat likes to lay down on my desk. I don't know what she's doing. Hey, I'm doing stuff right now. Lay down. But let's see. Do you think would be a better sword teacher for Asta? How to fight with swords? Zora, Urza. Urza would be much better, because Urza is really good at the sword, but she's more of a weapons master, because she uses mainly swords, but we know she also has ranged weapons. She's got a bow, She's got spears, axes, daggers, short swords, and I think she would be an all-around better person for Asta to train from. In reality, plus I feel like she would be a better teacher. Like she just seems like she'd be generally more authoritative to Asta, and like nice to him when she felt like being nice, but harsh on him when she thought it was more necessary. Or Zoro, I think, would just be a dick. Who would pick part of Sister Lily? I think Sister Lily's gonna die. How many Black Clover chapter characters would be sniped off the planet by Eclipse Artemis? So I told you, Andres, I'll be back at it soon. I think I'm at episode 10. I didn't watch any episodes in the last week because I've been catching up on other stuff. But I will be probably fully caught back up and fully finished with the rewatch by the next stream. I downloaded a bunch of episodes to watch. I downloaded a bunch of them to watch over this next week. So I'm gonna hopefully be able to get all that back up. I don't remember which one Artemis is, so I'll get to that though. I remember from where I left off, it was one of the chicks. She just had her boyfriend die or something, some like smaller character, and then it was revealed that it wasn't you who dies for like losing the whole system of their whole tournament, but it's like the person you care most about. So setting up foreshadowing stuff to be pretty interesting later on. Oh, Zeb Nolan, how's it going? Wow. You think overhaul wasted because it should have been a story longer? Well, he's still alive, isn't he? He just lost his arms. He could if he learns how to use his power through his feet, he could just make himself new arms. I mean, he easily could come back. Who do you think in the Ruby characters are going to get weapon upgrades because Blake needs a new weapon? I mean, yeah, they got to. Oh, they're going to Atlas, so they should definitely have. They definitely have the capability to get new weapons. I haven't thought about Ruby a lot lately. I've been kind of annoyed by Rooster Teeth. What is my cat doing? I can hear him messing with stuff. God damn it! Quit it. But I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. Where they're going, obviously, yeah, they can get new weapon upgrade. Chainsaw Man, is there an anime or manga you compare with? Chainsaw Man? I mean, I can't think any of the top of my head that compare with Chainsaw Man, or like can relate to Chainsaw Man, because Chainsaw Man is just so weird, because it's set up like a shonen, but it doesn't feel like a shonen at all, and that's one of the cool things about it. It's so much fun to go through. I really enjoyed Chainsaw Man, and I've been doing my best to push Chainsaw Man and try and get other people to give it a try. I think a lot of people don't want to just kind of give it a try because it's a new shonen. They're gonna think it's just some other battle shonen they're doing whatever. But it stands out and it's so awesome. And all I gotta do is wait for people to once they give it a shot, they end up really liking it. And Chainsaw Man has been a lot of fun. If you haven't yet, give it a shot. And Chainsaw Man is really cool also because anybody who doesn't even... It feels like one of those series that could get you into anime and manga even if you're not into the idea. Just because it doesn't... The flow of it doesn't come up with an anime or manga, which is really cool. It's like one of my friends, he doesn't watch like anime at all or read manga, but he's interested in Chainsaw Man. So at least there's something there. It's going to be pretty sick for him. Anything you didn't like from the My Hero Academia movie? It took too long to get to the actual, like, oh my god, my cat's doing stuff again. Stop it! She always, whenever I'm streaming, she decides to be active. It just took a while to get into everything, and the villain was really forgettable. It was kind of, I mean, movie 1 villain, I don't really expect to be that memorable though. So to be fair, I think it just kind of took a long time, and the side villains were also super lame. I thought it was cool to see Deku and All Might team up. Oh, that was nice. I have a question. If Black Clover would end, what manga do you think can replace it? I mean, it'd be a long time. Do you think in general? There's a lot of upcoming shonen new stuff. If you haven't read Jujutsu Kaisen is really popular in Japan. I guess it's picked up a lot of steam in Japan. It's starting to pick up a little overseas. The Last Sayuki as well has gotten really popular apparently, and I've been reading it. I haven't done any reviews. I'm going to review this current chapter because the last one I actually really liked. I thought it was really cool. And so there's, really quick without giving you spoilers away, one of the things I always talk about is for shonens, because a lot of shonens start out very similar. One of the things, because like I don't expect them to always have some big crazy catch right away, like something like Chainsaw Man. But one of the things that will always kind of catch my interest more when a series is really early is like, what is the main character's like power and fighting style? And the main character did something really cool in Chapter 7 of Last Sayuki, and I thought that was enough to make me go, all right, I'm gonna follow this series normally now because this is pretty sick. But that, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man. I actually caught up on Orient this week, and I started reading Orient when it started first getting translated, or like right after it came out, because obviously it's tied to the writer who made Magi. And I didn't really like Magi's last arc. Once they did all the time skip and it got like future tech, I didn't really care for it anymore. But like I picked up Orient, and I was like, it looks cool, but it didn't have anything to really draw me in. And then around like chapter 15 or 16, and I think it was more like 18. There's this swords master guy. When he shows up, it really picks up, and I thought that was a lot of fun. So I really like that now. Gambler's Parade. If you haven't read Gambler's Parade, it's like this whole world where like gambling is like associated with everything, and the main character like hates gamblers, but he's really smart, really analytical, and his whole plan is pretty much to challenge gamblers to competitions and then destroy them. And like he doesn't care, he wants them to stop gambling, but he doesn't care if that means, you know, they bet if I win you don't have to gamble anymore, or if you lose you die. Sorry. Like he's like straight up like, whatever happens. So, but as long as you're not gambling in the end, that's all I care about. Dude's pretty vicious. Pick that up too if you haven't. So there's been a lot of really fun new series I've actually been having a lot of fun with. The guy who made Golem Hearts, I really liked the idea of Golem Hearts. I was sad it got canceled. I thought it was really interesting. Obviously, other people didn't think it was that interesting. I wish it got serialized when they're in this new digital style, so because it'd probably still be going. But the guy just did a one-shot recently called Fantasies, and it's like 1950s gangster stuff, like the mafia. But like all the characters that get a power from like this drug, and they're all themed after different like monsters. Like one guy, like the main character is like a cyclops, and it gives him like I don't remember if it was like heightened sight, kind of like, you know, being able to see faster, like see and perceive things faster, if it gave him like future sight or something. But it was really cool. A lot of the characters are really interesting too. I'm hoping that gets serialized. God damn it, get down from there. What are you doing? Come here. Come over here. Quit being a rascal while I'm streaming. Lay down. I'm doing stuff. I apologize for my cat if she's disturbing the stream, being a ruckus. No, I'm just kidding, girl. You're not a ruckus. Just don't mess with stuff. Every time I try and record a video or do a stream, she decides that it's time to be active and make as much noise as possible. Anyway, a Game of Thrones tonight. That's gonna be really awesome. Looking forward to that. Main character's having a massive stress. Wait, my character is having a massive stress and autism disorder. Are you talking about, are you doing a series, Jared Punch? You're gonna make it crazy? Well, actually, like, if you haven't checked, actually, I feel like you have. I don't know why I'm asking this. The thing about Eden Zero, Shiki legitimately feels like he has a little bit of autism. Like, he feels so awkward, and then he doesn't get people at all. He doesn't get, like, social cues at all. He feels a little bit autistic. I love Shiki, though. He's a good kid. You know, I see you did the, cast magic. I've been messing around with a lot of the emotes on Discord recently. Been having a lot of fun with that. I use like the hands, and then use like the goblin mask, and then cast like fireball. Do goofy stuff like that. Yeah, my better Rex. The anime made the Grimoire ship look small. Yeah, it's fucking huge. I'm hoping I'm catching up. Noelle and Mara Leona, Mimosa are my best girl. Mara Leona is my favorite right now in Black Clover. I really like her. I hope she doesn't die. She's aged though. She's 32, so she's got a little bit of that age death flag going in there, and she's also OP. What if someone beat Asta like Muscular did, could only be stopped by magic and broke Asta's morale? Do you think it'd be Sally operate him and help him gain the ability to use magic? I don't want Asta to ever use magic. I really don't want him to. Because I like the anti-magic. I think it's really interesting. I don't want him to ever get to the point where he's not using these swords. I've talked about how my theory that maybe he absorbs enough anti-magic off the swords to get the more like the white versions of the swords that Licht had, which that would be the only kind of like variation I'd want. Or if he got a new sword made for him. I don't want him to like lose anti-magic and then get a different magic. I don't want that to happen. I like his. When is the next Fairy Tail chapter? Tuesday. It comes out on Tuesday. Joshua Light. It should be in the description if you haven't checked yet. I have a Twitter. So I used to do spoiler videos for the chapters, but my work schedule changed and they come out the chapters come out right as I'm getting to work, like 10 minutes before I arrive. So I usually like right on my walk-in, I'll like read the chapter and then screenshot a part and then put it out, put a spoiler out on Twitter. So if you haven't followed me on Twitter, if you want spoilers, follow me there. It should be in the description. Let me check. I believe. Oh my god, I don't know if you can hear in the background just messing around. Yeah, my Twitter's in there. So if you want spoilers, just check me out. Follow me on Twitter. Should be out on Tuesday. So look forward to that. Who do you think suffered more, Ultir Sacrifice, Gray or Merity? Who do you think suffered more? Oh, Gray, because Gray has to know that his teacher and her daughter both were part of sacrifices for him, or at least in relation. Hers was more for directly her. I've been trying to get more towards tier instead of tier because the obvious translations of L's and R's, but it makes more sense because we know how her name came out because she's she cried. She was so happy when her daughter was born that she cried. So obviously tears or tier. So. And obviously, it's hard when you have like a name engraved as a certain style, and that's like it makes more sense as tier, and I've seen it translated both ways. So I've been trying to say tier more, but I'm just so used to tier. But yeah, Gray I think definitely suffered more. Yeah, I think Valkyrie pulled a Hades or something. Yeah, I think she's bad. I think she's gonna end up being evil, because if they all wanted to do on their own, one of them had to become a villain. Do you think it's fair when people talk about Eden Zero, Black Clover, and My Hero to keep comparing them, mentioning Naruto and Fairy Tail despite the series come? I mean, it's an obvious. People compare them for obvious reasons. With Eden Zero, I think it's way more negative. I haven't seen anyone compare Naruto and My Hero Academia negatively in a long time. Black Clover's has really stopped too, which is good. Oh my god, you're not gonna get up there. Hang on a second. Hold on a second. Let me move something. Here you go. Here you go. I'll put it this way so you can climb up there. As I said, the second I start doing stuff, she just wants to make noise. Anyway, yeah, she's a vicious cat. Yeah, with Black Clover, it stopped a lot. Eden Zero, it's died down a lot too. It was so annoying. People were just comparing it to Fairy Tail. Like it has the general shonen aspects. Like obviously the main character likes his friends, so he's a good guy. But like Shiki and Natsu don't act alike. Like there's so many differences of them, and it's silly. And the same thing with like Naruto. The thing, I think the easiest way that I'd compare it is if you took each of them, like you take so many different characters. You take Natsu, you insult Natsu to his face, he's gonna fucking punch you. You insult Naruto, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, dude, back the fuck up." You insult Asta, he's not gonna care. Like he'll probably be like, "That was a good insult." You insult Shiki, he's gonna ask to be your friend, and you insult Deku, and Deku's gonna probably be really depressed and be like, "Damn, dude, that was pretty mean. Maybe you're right." There's a lot of differences between a lot of these characters, and people only like to look at like the main ones, like shonen things, and like with Naruto and then My Hero Academia and Black Clover, it's like, well, the main character wants to be, X big role. It's like, well, that's just saying I want to be really big in this position. It's not even original to them. What was it? Fucking Red and Ash wanted to be Pokemon Masters before Naruto even existed. It's goofy. It's a whole goofy thing. God Serena and Bloodman were rotten evil. Well, God Serena didn't come off as evil because his whole plan was he just wanted to fight Acnologi and defeat him. And Bloodman seemed bad, but he didn't seem evil. I mean, he still killed people, but that's because he was in a war. He didn't come out like Irene was into torturing and like fucking people up, and was like that whole scene when she was in she was, oh my god, I'm forgetting how to pronounce its name. The Crocus capital. It's like Mercerious or something, but she was torturing, like trying to like psychologically torture Hisui and her father. So like, tell him that dude didn't. At least he withstood her weird games. Bloodman seemed mean, but he didn't come off as like some pure evil guy. It just seemed like, you know, he was a dude on an opposing side and, you know, doing his thing. Irene just seemed fucked up. What do you predict in the next 100 years quest? I actually just, before the stream, I recorded my 100 years quest next chapter. I'll put that out probably tomorrow. I might put it out after the stream. I'll probably put it out early in the morning tomorrow. Probably put it out for you guys, or just after this, actually. Put it out so it has enough time, really, to kind of sit and lament before the next chapter comes out. So that's gonna be good. Chainsaw Man is shonen, but not. Yeah, it's the thing about Multi Hussein is it's in shonen. It's a weekly shonen jump. It's a shonen, but it doesn't feel like a shonen. Is the thing. Like the main character, his whole plan of beating this villain this monster that they're fighting, is he wants to hurt him so much he kills himself. I mean, what other shonen main character, like, they would try and like reason with him or beat him just to beat him, but this guy's like literally like, I'm gonna torture him until he commits suicide. Where it's like, holy shit, dude, what are you doing? Do you think Hades would how do you think Hades would have reacted to if he saw Mavis on Sirius Island again? Do you think he would have hesitated or still? I think he would have. I think he could have been reasoned with at that point. I think like Warren and Hades, I think probably could have maybe maybe worked some sense into him. The whole fact that he was trying to get for the great world of magic, and he just wanted to. We still haven't seen the abyss of magic. You know, if that's like a physical place in Fairy Tale or something, there's still a couple things that we can still get to within this. Have you been reading Pandora Hearts? Not yet. I have it lined up. Don't worry. I still have it lined up. Right now, I'm catching up on Witch Hunter, and then I'm gonna read Pandora Hearts. I have to catch up on Witch Hunter. I remember so many things from it, and I want to catch up. I think that's the last series I have that I read before that I'm catching up, because before it was Orient. And then I'm going to read Pandora Hearts, and then I'm going to read Made in Abyss. Right now, kind of summed up. I was going to read Pandora Hearts, but I forgot about Witch Hunter. But I'm already, I think Witch Hunter is only 200 chapters, and I'm already 15 in. I usually read them to and from work, and then sometimes it breaks during work. So I'll probably caught up with Witch Hunter soon. And then I'll, because I caught up in Orient within a day, and that's like 40 chapters. So I'll catch up on Witch Hunter, and then I'll get to Pandora Hearts soon. But I still have it on there. It's only like, what, like 75 chapters, Andres, I think? Oh, hang on. I missed Sheridan Kane's post. There, have you read Monster 20th Century Boys? I'm 40-some chapters into 20th Century Boys. I haven't read Monster yet. Monster is one of those big hyped ones that I know I'm gonna have to read eventually. But I was reading 20th Century Boys, and then one of my friends, he really wanted me to read Attack on Titan, and I had read Attack on Titan to like chapter 40 when it was at 40 or something, and then I stopped. But both of them really wanted me to read it, because one of them wanted me to read 20th Century Boys, but both of them wanted me to read Attack on Titan. So I put 20th Century Boys on the side to catch up on Attack on Titan, and I'll get to 20th Century Boys at some point. It's a pretty fast reading comparison. There's not as much dialogue. It's more for the mystery and the drama, which is going to be pretty cool. So yeah, I got to get back to that soon. Do you have any ideas for Asta will progress with anti-magic? For example, we'll get more swords, another wing. I think it depends on how he's also going to use this new sword in combination to the others. But a lot of the thing about Asta is a lot of the ways that he kind of like is in the arcs. It's not how a lot of it is more of how he does teamwork with the other characters rather than him like, let me think of a new power or a new way to use my swords in my anti-magic. It's more of how can we use your abilities combined with my abilities to get through this situation. And that's actually one of the things I really like too, is there's always so much teamwork and like how exactly other characters, you know, play into it as well, which is pretty cool. Would you consider Natsu and Goku from Dragon Ball Z heroic? Goku, no. Goku is not heroic. Natsu is somewhat heroic, But I've always kind of saw Natsu as like, Natsu's like a soft core anti-hero because he's still a good guy. He's still like overall like he's gonna side with, you know, doing good things over bad things, but he won't think twice over if, you know, the good guys are, you know, threatening the guild in some way or shit talking the guild. We already know that. You take a government official, you know, straight up law dude, like members of the council, and you say, you know, you shit talk Fairy Tail, and he's gonna fucking punch you out. He doesn't care what side you're on at that point. That's one of the things about it. He's not a, because I don't put him as an anti-hero. That's why I say soft core, like, because he'll do stuff for the guild even if it's a bit darker or, you know, shouldn't be doing. Can't tell you my day job, Sharon and Kane. It's a secret. Oh yeah, Goku is not from Heroic. He's not a Heroic guy. I like Bladius. What's up? I don't know if I've seen you in the stream before. How's it going? If you haven't yet, you're just popping in by, or if you're a new subscriber. If not, I really appreciate if you would subscribe and come hang out for more of these streams. I've always enjoyed chatting with you guys during these streams. But I like Golem Hearts too. I thought it was really interesting. I liked Noah. I liked Noah's whole goal of becoming #1 so he could be #2 that way, because by being #1, his dad is automatically kind of pushed into #1 instead. And I like the way that powers worked in their world, and I liked the dude's art style, and I like the cool rock powers and stuff. I thought it was really interesting, and I was really sad that it got canceled, because it was one of the series that I think one of the only ones that I had read from when the one shot came out, and then saw it getting serialized, and I was super stoked for it. I was really happy for it, and then it got canceled, and I was really bummed. I was actually really salty about that. You're gonna make your own character. Well, if you make your own character, you draw them out, or at me on Twitter, or let me see. So what if, so it was said by Zeref that Alvarez trying to go to war with Fiore in the past was not his doing. Do you think it was involved? It had to have been maybe Irene or August, because it couldn't have been, I don't know, do we have an age for Invil? Because it'd have to be maybe Invil or Agio, because they're very kind of like, they obviously want combat, they want to fight to get stuff done for Zeref, but they have to be old enough for it all to happen, because it was a year before the start of Fairy Tail. So at that point it was at the end of the Tartarus arc, so it roughly around 8 years, I think, give or take, because 7 plus 8 plus probably a couple extra months thrown around in there. It definitely it had to be somebody probably around that, because Agio, I don't know, he looks pretty young. Invil looks like one of those dudes who's actually older than he looks. It was probably one of them. I don't know if it'd be August, because August is very much dedicated to helping Zeref, and yeah, he wasn't he said to be the most reasonable, and he seemed to be the least aggressive. So maybe it was him. And we don't know how old Wall is either. Wall is pretty old. Do you think there's going to be a chance a 5th-leaf Grimoire to turn into a 4th-leaf Grimoire? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't want anything to be possible for it to turn Asta's Grimoire back. I don't want it. I like it how it is. If Gray actually lost to Jui, do you think he wouldn't recover, since he already lost his mentor, Old Tyr and his dad, or no? I mean, he still would have came around. He still got the guild. Because he wasn't like, F everything, I'm a bad guy now, or like, I don't care if I die after losing Juvia. He was just like, this shit needs to go. We need to get all this done. But it was obviously like a big point for him. I mean, Gray kept losing people, and obviously that had been really hitting him hard. I just think he would have recovered, or it would have still probably helped him pull back in. Is Eden Zero an anime? Can't find it. It's not an anime yet. It's just a manga. You can find it all over the place. It's a Manga C Online, or Jimenez Box, or Comixology, Amazon's comic reading place. Asta cares about his friends more than himself. Yeah, Asta's a good boy. He's a good boy. So if Shiki's autistic, would you consider Natsu mentally unstable, since he just picks fights? No, he's just aggressive. But Natsu's actually fairly intelligent. We've seen this like back in the Tartarus arc. He was able to figure out about Crawford before anyone else. He's aggressive. He picks fights. He's definitely matured a lot. Like, he doesn't do it as much anymore. But I'd say because he never came off to me as stupid. He seems more like a jackass. Like, he just messes around a lot. He's, you know, he's just like a goofy guy sometimes. He just likes to fuck around. Whereas someone like, love Asta, but he's dumb as a rock. But so he definitely doesn't seem unstable because he doesn't come off as crazy. He just comes off as a dude who wants to pick fights with people who thinks are fucking with him, or with the guild, really. You think Urza and Lucy should have been replaced by Gadgil so he and Wendy get some spotlight in a battle, develop their interaction with Nuts and Gray. I mean, Gray barely talks to them. Well, Gray's been friends with them a long time. Gray has a lot of interactions with them. It's like, remember all the way back, even at the start of Galuna Island, he hung out with him a lot. He hung out a lot in, he had a big part in Phantom Lord. Gray talks to him all the time. What do you mean? Gray's been very, very, like, Gray's been fucking the main cast. All the way since he came in. Ever since he showed up. My protagonist doesn't have a dream. He finds, wait, I skipped one. Why do you think it's important that Mishima is showing Xiao Mei in particular parts of the story? I think it's just kind of like to add that weird cosmic feel to it. You know, you have this character talking out of character to this weird, like, to the audience. It's very strange, but I do think it's fun. I'm curious to know if there's going to be any point where Xiao Mei talks about maybe a fairy tale or a Wraith Master or Monster Soul or any of Mishima's works. Like, I think that'd add an extra level of really cool bits to it. My protagonist doesn't have a dream. He wants to fight to take out the sadness and rage he feels inside. I mean, as long as you just got to be careful with. I would say Jared Punch is you just got to make it so the character, if he doesn't have a dream, it's got to go somewhere and then like turn into different aspects. It's like this kind of like not going into much. So the main character I have for like a story idea, he originally doesn't have a dream or like a goal, like, but everybody in his crew, like his team, does, and his thing is just kind of go along with like he just wants to adventure with his crew and do fun stuff, and then that eventually kind of like starts to fall apart, and a lot of negativity kind of spawns up from it, and how it kind of affects him, and how like interactions from other people's dreams kind of like do some damage to him. But you know, you gotta make it. Obviously, I'm not a professional writer. I'm just giving my opinion. You just gotta make it so like there's a plan, so it's just not some dude's pissed off. I don't know. Do what you think is best though. The flashback arc is too damn long. You talking about? Are you talking about Magi for the flashback arc? Xiao Mei X. Anyone for me? Do you read Vinland Saga? I have read Vinland Saga. I'm behind a little bit, but I read up to like where they interact with that bear. There's a part with a bear, and then some chick shows up with, I think, a crossbow, and that's where I last read the series. I think it's like 10 or 12 chapters ago or something. And Natsu killed a lot of members of Albrecht. He's killed a fair amount of people. I mean, he's not he's willing to kill if it is important. Like he talked about that at the start of the Albrecht arc. He's fine killing people if he thinks it's, you know, overall for the safety of the people he cares about, because he doesn't like to kill people, but he knows that he's gonna have to at times in order to keep his crew and his friends and stuff alive, all his cherished ones. Maybe if Asta collects all swords, he can bind them together into one sword. I'm thinking maybe he's gonna get a new sword, like have one custom made for him. Do you think Eden Zero's cover art will show Jamilov and Amira? Oh yeah, for the next one? I hope so. I hope Jamilov is on the next volume cover. Yeah, I remember this one. I laughed about it. I mean, Atsu he was pretty stoked. But I think that was more towards just like, you know, taking down Albrecht rather than like, haha, I killed people. Ready for Vinland Saga anime? I haven't looked at, is there a trailer for the Vinland Saga anime at all? I haven't seen anything for it. Black Clover does power of friendship the right way. I mean, it depends. Black Fairy Tales has a lot of good moments. I mean, a lot of the things people complain about, there's a lot of parts explainable. There's some parts, obviously, that are dumb. I still don't like how Laxus beat Wall. I mean, he pulled that red lightning out of there. It just felt like Mishima wanted to do another reference to Breaking Bad with the Mercury Fulminate. I don't know why. It's a weird. I don't know why you just pump out Fairy Law or Dragon Force or something. But, you know, whatever. My cat's fucking around in the background again. Oh, God. I'm almost caught up. Speaking of Ajo, why did Urza struggle against Tim so much? Oh, the thing about it is he countered the hell out of her because he could turn all of her swords, other than obviously her elemental swords, into sand. He could turn intangible, and she didn't really have many ways to hit him at that point. And he was super maneuverable. Like, Natsu against Agio, we know that he could have just, it completely disintegrated. Like, it made his saying nothing, just incinerated the hell out of it. But the thing that made Agio harder for Urza is that his powers countered hers. And there's still obvious counters in Fairy Tail. It's not as apparent as Black Clover. I think Black Clover lays out their counter system a lot better because it's more notable rather than a lot of other series. But hi girl, listen, I'm doing stuff. Lay down. Hi. She sees him talking to you guys and she's jealous. Lay down, you silly cat. But yeah, I think there's definitely the aspect of countering that people don't take as much into play, because we know she was strong enough to take him out. We know that she's fast. We know that she's capable of keeping up with people like Irene. But it's the fact that their powers were just, her style didn't work well with going up against Agio. Again, like it really just depends. Like you can look at something like what's another good counter? Look at something like Natsu and Jackal. Natsu was much stronger than Jackal at that time, even though Jackal was able to beat him because the way that he countered hand-to-hand fighters at the time, well, really in general. But Natsu then afterwards was able to figure out how that worked and was able to counter that ability with his dragon, fire dragon ability in general to eat heat-based attacks. So that clearly, obviously, is a good example, and it just goes to show, like, as long as you're able to figure out the counter, even if someone's stronger than you, you still got a counter on them. And same thing, other way around. So at the beginning, it was implied that Gray had a crush on Lucy, and Urza just found them attractive. I think he just found them attractive. This probably put out there. There's a lot of early stuff. Oh wait, am I caught up? I am caught up. Sweet. Oh, look, quick, I gotta read this last one. Now that we know anything about the 4-leaf grimoire, we can become a 5-leaf grimoire and enough negative emotions. We're allowed to the next antagonist in Black Clover will be 5-leaf grimoire. So I talked about that. I did a video on that, Bladus. That's what I think that is going to be up next. Maybe like a villain group, kind of like the Akatsuki or something, and they're all maybe the people with Black Clover grimoires or the demons after they've taken their bodies somewhere out in the world. I feel like that'll definitely be an aspect push in the future because it just makes sense. Definitely something that I feel like showing up later in Black Clover. Now that we know that there's going to be more, I'm also wondering, like, what if there's a 6-leaf? Like, what if it comes out another level? Like, maybe eventually, if Asta gets like another sword, maybe it'll become a 6-leaf. I mean, that could be another. Oh, Game of Thrones is. Oh, hang on, is it starting right now? I'm gonna have to. Let me see real quick. Hang on a second. If it's starting, I'm gonna end the stream. I gotta watch Game of Thrones, but let me catch up. No matter what, I'll catch up with the chat before anything else. His name is Asta and Aster. So I was actually one of the things that I thought was interesting because originally it was translated as Aster, and Aster I think that relates to gray. Let me look at the definition really quick. Definition of Aster. Aster definition. I think it has to do with gray or something. Or wait, array. Actually, it might just be multiple colors, purple or pink. Oh, okay, it's not. It's a flower or something in a flower. So I just remember having something that could relate to it. That's what I was thinking. But the whole theory is Asta has to do with Astaroth, the demon, which makes sense and would be really cool if pulled towards through that, which I think would be pretty nice to see for Asta. Definitely would. I'm looking forward to seeing where exactly if his name relates to anything. Who do you think is more oblivious to the crush, Asta or Naruto? Well, Asta. This is way more on, like, Naruto, it was just Hanade. Like, Asta's got multiple fucking chicks, like, trying to get on him. I think it's called Asta, even in the manga, too. Oh, it was originally translated in the fan versions as Aster. Like, a lot of the early English translations by the fans when Black Clover was just kind of getting acknowledged by the Westerns and overseas people, as Aster, and then obviously it became Asta. I even took a while like afterwards. I liked Aster better, and then like officially became Asta. So I said, you know, okay, if it's Asta, it's Asta, and it's a little annoying after that point because you gotta be like, well, I gotta get to the actual stuff now. Oh my god, when's the episode coming out? Hang on, let me ask somebody. 1 second. Oh, again, yeah. I'll read you, Mercenary. If you message me, if you're still in the chat, I'll get to your DM in a second. But I'm trying to catch up on stuff. As opposed to Agio, how much difficulty do you think Urza would have if he fought Gaara, since he's also a sand user? Not as much, because this Gaara doesn't have the whole turn stuff into sand or the intangibility that that Agio had. Once he used the sand world, that just became such a big foil to them, because he had this he had like a 10-mile wide sandstorm where he could just appear at any point within it. And okay, it's not till 9, so I got plenty of time till Game of Thrones. I got worried there. So it was a lot of combination of his abilities, and then Urza just got a bad matchup. Well, she was gonna lose if it wasn't for Biska. She would have got fucked. Urza's thing about Urza. So Urza, just really quick, a lot of people act like she's some like invincible super character. She had a good strive in Grand Magic Games. Obviously, she, you know, fighting, like, you had the Pandemonium, then she fought Kagura, and then she fought Minerva. Well, she fought both of them, and then she fought Minerva, and then she took out Minerva. But she didn't take out Kagura, because people, like, all she did was knock down Kagura when she went to her fire pants. Because Kagura got up afterwards. She was still capable of fighting. Urza still would have won, but she didn't one-shot her. And then, obviously, Minerva, she one-shot her. But that's because the Nakagami armor is OP in the Fairy Tail world, the way that it works. And then Tartarus, I mean, she got kidnapped, tortured, and then she fought Kyoka shortly, and then she fought Minerva shortly. Minerva didn't lose the fight. She kind of just got sad and, like, started to have her power complex, like, sadness. But with Kyoka, she tied with Kyoka because they both went down like the same time, but Urza didn't prevent Face from going off. So in reality she lost that fight. She won the battle, she lost the fight, and then she beat Jerome. Jerome didn't fucking matter. He was just, you know, he was just a measuring stick character. But then she goes against Agio, she only beats Agio because of outside interference from Natsu and then Biska. She loses to Nineheart. She loses to Irene. Urza doesn't beat Irene. Irene beat herself because she had that very quick moment of clarity where she killed herself, you know, make sure she didn't kill her daughter. And then she lost to Kyria, and then her and Kyria, their fight didn't have a winner in the second round because they had to make a tactical retreat. That the Dragon Eaters, they're just like, we're not going to waste time with you guys anymore. We're getting out of here. But her record is not as good as a lot of people make her out to be. I mean, she's got some good wins, but people completely hype her up way too much. Okay, there we go. Six Leaf Grimoire, Overcome the Despair. I mean, Six Leaf would be pretty cool. I think that'd be really awesome if Asta somehow manages to achieve like a level higher that no one's ever heard of. I think that'd be pretty cool because we know that there's ways to make them evolve, so maybe there's a way to make it evolve further. You think Asta will go through despair later on in the story? I think there's definitely going to be a darker moment for him. If there was, yeah, Six Leaf. Maybe there'll be a Six Leaf. We don't know. What are the chances that Asta turns out to be half demon or the son of an important character that we may get introduced in the series later, the first Wizard King? I don't know. I don't want him to be that. I like that fact that Asta is just some nobody who got to where he is through hard work and effort. I think that, again, I think that's what kind of hurt Naruto in the end, is that Naruto ended up being like this. He ended up being a reincarnation of one of the Sage kids, and that he was destined to get there eventually. And I don't want that to happen with Asta. I like that Asta's, if it's something, I want it to make sure that he's still like, it didn't matter. Like, even if he was like, oh, you're the reincarnation of the first Wizard King or something, but it's like, well, you had no magic, so it has to be in a way that it doesn't moot out that fact that he worked really hard to get to where he was. How would you do crossovers? I view them as a giant compare and contrast. I like the thing I like about crossovers the most is character interactions. My favorite thing. I don't care even if the animation isn't too good, even if the story's not too good. I just want the characters to interact, and because that's the thing that I think is the most fun, is seeing how these different characters who never would otherwise see each other just talk. Also, more Cobb. I don't know if I've seen you in the stream before. What's up, dude? How's it going? If you're new to the stream, I do these streams every week, talk about different series. You know, you can ask me questions. It's mostly a group conversation. Same thing with Nicole Ramos Vera. It says Nero ACTUALLY. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Clave? I don't know. I don't speak your language, but welcome to the stream, dude. How's it going? I meant the official manga. Yeah. No, yeah. Oh, dang it. If Urza and Jalal hooked up, do you think that they'd wear pants in the family? Urza, I don't know. The thing about I think it'd be Jalal, because the thing about Urza is she's very authoritative and very headstrong, but that doesn't come out at all when she's in any way interacting with Jalal. She seems much more like a nervous girl when talking to him. I actually really like that about their interactions. So it'd probably be Jalal. I think that'd be nice. Like, just imagine. I like seeing that. Like, she's very confident, very dependable, very powerful. But then, like, you know, she gets near Jalal. She's got this thing for her. She gets very nervous and becomes a little bit more of a frail girl. I always thought plot armor for Urza. No. Don't talk shit about Urza. Quit it. Get out of here with that. Don't actually leave, but stop it. Urza's a good character. So when Urza used Nakagami armor the first time, said people said she committed a taboo like Zoldio, and it was so OP, but it didn't face any consequences. Oh, it's not a taboo. It's the fact that it uses so much magic that she couldn't use it before Second Origin, and she's only been able, every time she's put it on, she's only been able to wear it for a couple seconds, and she's gotten out one attack each. It's not that it's some taboo cursed armor. It's the fact that it's OP, but it has a massive drain on it, and she couldn't use it normally. I really hate that you're using the term plot armor. It depends. Like, it all depends. Like, sometimes I think the term, like, actually is useful, but, A lot of the times I think people overuse it. All right, have a good time, we'll do saying. I'm going to wrap up the stream soon. Still just chatting with people, seeing what goes on. Rashid Mars, I haven't seen you in the stream before. How's it going, dude? I'll get to your comment in a second. I just saw your name, but let me catch up with some of these. You think Nozzle kind of respects Asta now? Yeah, so the thing about Nozzle, I've talked about this a little bit before, is Nozzle never seemed like, I hate Noelle. Noelle sucks. I hate Asta. Asta sucks. It was more like, because we know how he feels about his job and, like, protecting the kingdom. Because, like, look back at, like, during the whole invasion arc, like, the first time Midnight Sun attacked the capital, even when Solid and Ibra were like talking shit afterwards and like, oh, they weren't able to do anything, and like what happened to Fuego Leon, Nozzle was like, well, we didn't help the kingdom at all. We got BFR like teleported out of this fucking place, and we're shittier because of that. He definitely sees the job as a bigger thing, like, because when he didn't like Asta and he looked down on him, but when he saw that he was capable of doing things and being useful to the kingdom, he started to be kinder towards them. And the same thing with Noelle. So as long as someone's like useful to the kingdom and that, you know, able to hold up their weight in the squads, I think they definitely like I think he definitely likes them at that point. If Asta's swords were broken, any way do you think they'd get replaced by welding or new parts though? I think they'd have to then at that point go find somebody who whoever made them, if they weren't made by like somebody specifically, not just in general, coming with the grimoire. Do you think there was more devoted to Zeref, Mardgear, or Invul? Invul, I think, because actually no, Mardgear was more about the overall purpose of what they wanted to do, but I guess Invul in the more updated version, after Zeref didn't want to just directly die, he had a whole plan that went beyond himself at that point. I really like Zeref. I need to do that video on Zeref soon. I really like Zeref. I think he's a really underappreciated villain. I think he deserves way more credit than a lot of people give him. Zeref, I think, was very well written, and had a lot of really complex and interesting aspects to his character. When I get to the video eventually for it, hopefully it'll, you know, spread out and people will realize that Zareth is a lot better than people give him credit for. Really always liked my boy Zareth. He really went through the despair at the beginning of the story. I feel like that Light will tell him more of the swords with Nero and the bird do whatever it's about to. So I actually talked about that, Rash and Mars. Again, welcome to stream. I don't think I've seen you before. That specifically, I talked about that, and I think that might be how Asta got the swords, because he was falling into that state of despair and depravity, and then brought him back with that whole moment. And I think that might have been one of the things relating to him getting the grimoires and being important to the story overall, is the fact that he was able to come back from that point of despair. So if you haven't checked that out, you should go look at some of my Black Clover theories and discussion videos, because I have talked about that. My character and other Shonen characters, I don't have anger issues. You just need to start pissing them off. It depends. Because Urza just used Nakagami and Agile earlier. It depends, because again, if she can only use it for a handful of seconds, it seems like, or like very short period of time, maybe only one attack. She used it on him because at that point she had a good enough opening, and it felt like the first time she went and attacked him when Natsu punched up. How do you pronounce it? I think it was Backwell. That guy, Bakuo. I don't remember how to pronounce his name directly off the top of my head, but I remember him. He also had a stick scarf. When he punched him up, it seemed more like she was trying to figure out if her other elemental swords could actually do anything to him. And then when she got in that chance, used Nakagami armor, took him out, because that seemed like her. That's like her last resort armor. Because so the two things, Urza's two most like powerful armors that we've seen. She's got her Nakagami armor and her fire pants armor. A lot of people don't get her fire pants armor because it's throwing away all other stats and just going into offense. So it's just increasing speed and attack power, and that's also what Benizakura does. So it really only works if she's fighting somebody that is just faster and more powerful than her. But it doesn't take into account things like weird abilities and like hacks and stuff. The same thing with Bloodman, or not Bloodman, sorry, with the Nakagami armor, because that only works if somebody's got a weird power that she's losing to because they have a weird hacks power. If she fought Bloodman, Urza would have no way to do anything to him. Because like that, he's like a hyper counter to her character. And I'm glad they never fought. Like, she would have got fucked. Asta could lock down by turrets, machine guns, and drones. Yeah, I mean, he's got no counter to that. Do you think that people say that Lucy's useless? Lucy's not useless. I mean, she's definitely one of the better shonen female leads. She's very weak at the start, but she makes very notable character progression. She makes very notable power progression. She's relevant all the time. Sakura sucks. I mean, Sakura's all around sucks. I'm surprised they gave her that scene in Boruto in the anime where she like actually could fight and was doing cool stuff. Lucy's been able to fight for herself for a long time. Like, especially in Grand Magic Games is really where it turned around for her, where she was able to really hold herself, which I thought was really good. Like, when she could summon two spirits, pull them, do combos, and then she got her spirit dress, and she was perfectly fine. Really just holding her own. Science technology versus shonen magic systems. Depends, because sometimes you'll get, like, crazy magic. I mean, really, you could bring some science, put him against the demon dude, he'll just, like, say some words and destroy the machines. I'm so glad my cat, she's just walking all over my keyboard. What are you doing? Listen, I'm doing stuff. Calm down. How do you think would interact with Kid Sasuke? I think he would. You think he would roast him? No, they'd probably get along. Sasuke wasn't. I mean, Sasuke, like, outside of like talking to Naruto, just seemed. He was very calm. He was obviously an angsty dude because he was pissed off all the time. But I feel like him talking to it'd be like a lot of small talk, and they wouldn't really chat over the. Urza versus Demaria. Urza has absolutely zero counter to Demaria. Demaria would kill her. Well, Demaria. Obviously, there's only a handful of people that really could 1v1 Demaria. Obviously, Natsu, because E&D stuff makes him immune to time stop. He kind of jumps in there at Zareth. Really, there's only a couple characters that straight can go with that. But there's some characters, obviously, like Actually, any of the dragons, that even with time stop, she can't do anything to. And then, you got like August, who could, it would read her mind, see it coming, and then slow perception of time down, and then just kill her. There's only a couple people that really counter. Can you stop hitting the keyboard while I wrap up the stream, please? Goddamn cat. She's a goof. Do you think that Sally will help Asta with his demon form after this arc because she can do anything with his body? Maybe. So Sally is very... I think there's a lot of speculation that she's going to join the Black Bulls after this arc. I think she'd fit right in. I think maybe she'll... I think her big role after this is maybe going to be making artificial bodies for the elves to get the elves out of the bodies of members of the Clover Kingdom, but not the way that they can just extract them out so their souls just wander around. I think that'll be Sally's biggest aspect after this. So Urza couldn't blitz Damari before he just types up. No, all she does is like move her, like click her teeth, and then time stops. Urza's not that much faster than her. I mean, Urza's faster than her, but she's not that faster than her. Like for real, she clicks her teeth and it's over. It all depends, like because some people could counter her, some people would get completely demolished by her. Damari's a hard cookie to counter, like for real. But anyway, like Irene Arcade Godstrainer can beat Demaria. Irene can because she could probably cancel out her magic, do something with it. Larcade, I don't know what she could really do to Larcade unless Larcade used Rest in Peace before she did it somehow. I don't know. I don't know how she would. I mean, Larcade could probably beat her if he used that. What was it called? The one that makes people really hungry. I forgot what it's called. But if he used that, what was it? It was something with Buddha or something. I don't remember what the name of that power was called. I have to look it up. But if he used that beforehand, she wouldn't be able to probably think straight long enough in order to get it off, maybe, and then he could just kill her at that point. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up the stream. Glad to see anybody new show up. Hope you guys had fun. Jerome, the elves should rip after this arc. No, I don't think so, Jerome. I think that they're going to... I think now a lot of what's going to happen after this are the elves and the humans are going to start interacting positively and start to kind of like form peace again. And now it'll be a much more... I think it'll be a much more realistic peace between them. You're showing up right at the end there, Jerome. I don't. If you want to go back and watch the whole stream, listen to it, go ahead. Check out my other videos. I don't know. There's still some people that really, I haven't got their names down. If you've been here a couple times before, I apologize if I've forgotten you. There's some people obviously that show up every week. I remember you, but anybody that I might have not have fully memorized to you or yet, I apologize. It's nothing against you. I'm still fairly new to the whole YouTube game, and sometimes I gotta try and get people's names down. Eventually, I feel like there's gonna be too many people and I'm not gonna remember everybody. It's gonna bum me out a little bit, but it's both a good and a bad thing. Oh, my cat Jared Punch says hello. She's laying across my keyboard now, getting ready to sleep. But other than that, yeah, I hope you guys had a good time at the stream. I'm sorry for anybody that might be showing up now, but I'm just pulling out. It's been 2 hours, a little bit longer. It's been two and a half hours. It's been longer than normal. I'm gonna get ready to watch Game of Thrones if anybody has it. Happy birthday, Jared Punch. I forgot to double over that. I said at the beginning of the stream, but also that. Happy birthday for Jared Punch. And I hope anybody who hasn't yet that might still be here, subscribe, thumbs up the stream, and check out all the rest of my videos. And until next week. For next week's stream, I hope you guys have a great week, and look forward to all the next chapters coming out. Other than that, again, thank you all for coming. Bye.